Schlecky Lucci from just a second, T.J McKenzie. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Surrounded by Details podcast. With me, Stevo, I am your host. And my apologies straight out for being late today at today's phone companion. But that is because of several stream issues, guest issues. We apologize big time. But here we are, UFC 214. And I can't wait to see the main event. And I can't wait to see the fight that is actually going on here at the moment. And as always, I am not alone. I have another guest with me over the phone because we are based in Southeast Asia, which means we don't really have the possibilities to just drop over in each other's studio. So we do the whole thing over phone. And with me today, the one and only, my brother from another mother, the undercover brother of MMA in Asia, T.J McKenzie from Phuket Top Team. TJ, are you there?
I'm doing all right, man.
That is lovely to
my
hear.
Bad. I apologize also to your guest, but Lawler is doing exactly what I said that he needed to do to beat Cerrone. He's giving him no space and no respect.
Yeah, man, you need to be full-time. We dive straight into the fight here because Lawler and Cerrone is going on. I think to defeat Cerrone is exactly as you say. Just go straight at him. Don't give him any space because he got vicious fucking leg kicks, man. And the only way to deal with these is basically to go close and fight a dirty fight, dog fight as some people call it.
Yeah, you have to be that guy. Or what Masvidal does is because he has a similar height and reach, he was able to stay close enough that he could thwart his kicks, but also pick him apart with the punches the way he likes. But Lawler is not that guy, so he's staying in his face and using dirty boxing and just trying to beat him up to the body.
Have you seen any other fights? Because we had Jimmy Manua getting knocked the fuck out by Volkan Ozdemir. That was a crazy fight as well, and I'm very happy for Manua to getting knocked out because I don't like that dude.
Really? Not? Is it because he talks too much?
Exactly, and he just looks weird.
I feel like if British people kind of get a bad rap because they're the villain in almost every movie ever, so if they talk a lot, they remind them of whatever Bond movie somebody saw. So they start off on a bad foot, and poor Manua, I guess he just got the business today. That was the first thing I read when I checked on here. Yeah.
Is the Lawler Cowboy fight your most anticipated fight of the whole card? Because the whole UFC 214 card is just crazy stacked. I mean, we have 3 title fights. We have Lawler versus Cerrone, and even the prelims, man. If I look at Lamas versus Knight, what a chin Knight had, even though in the end he got knocked out. But crazy fight so far. And what is your favorite fight of this card?
Easily this one, because this fight was supposed to happen 2 or 3 times, and I've been waiting for it for ever because it's such a good style matchup. Because it's kind of like whoever makes the first mistake might be done. Except I don't know, putting Lawler away it's rough. So I think he's my favorite for this one.
Yeah, I think Lawler is, well, not I think, I know Lawler is one of my favorite fighters in general. And it seems with him that you always have these fucking wars, you know what I mean? And I said it before we started the live stream here. I really was looking forward to see Lawler back in action because it's the first time that he actually is back in the octagon after he lost his title to Woodley. And I would really love to see him rematching Woodley because in my opinion Woodley got lucky in that fight. I really want to see a second round of that one.
I would say yes and no because Lawler likes to charge forward and Woodley kind of lives for that. And he did catch Lawler cold. Yeah, that's true. But also because Lawler's been in so many wars, like your brain can only take so much, and that's why he was out for like a year. He just needs to give his head a break.
Yeah, man, Lawler, whenever he speaks, he is very, very calm and seems a little bit left behind, if you know what I mean.
A little bit, yeah, because he's been doing this for way too long. I think he's been a pro since he was 19 or something like that, and he came up in one of those gyms where they do nothing but hard spar. So I'm sure this guy, a few of his synapses aren't firing the way they should be.
I'm not sure if I asked you this before, because you are fighting yourself, you're in MMA and in Muay Thai. How is your sparring, and what do you think about sparring? Too much is too much, or you should spar as much as possible? Give me your view on that.
It depends on the person, their sparring partners, and how it is that they're sparring. The really old school people believe that you have to spar the way you fight all the time. I don't. That's why so many of the old school guys are punchy. McGregor and his guys, they follow more of the work on your software without damaging your hardware logic. I think that's more the way to go going forward, especially with all the science that says people they're messing their heads up. You know, there's only but so many times you can get knocked out, and a lot of the people that become chinny, especially the old school guys, they became chinny not because of their fights. The fight's 15 to 25 minutes tops. You know, like you might absorb double-digit strikes. It's getting rocked in practice over and over again and going home with a headache a few times a week. If you have a headache after sparring, it means you probably snapped a synapse or your brain got shook, and then there's a couple connections that are broken. And I don't think medical science has a way to fix that yet. So if you're leaving practice with headaches all the time, you're just messing your brain up. And that's going to take a toll later, whether it's you start forgetting things, whether you get Alzheimer's, whether you start having mood problems, and all that's going to mess with your training. So people kind of just need to chill.
Do you concern yourself with that? I mean, it seems like to me that it's an advantage to not know these things, because then you can just go ahead. But if you know these things, you pay attention to them, obviously. Is that something that you're afraid of for your future? Because you are super young. How old are you again?
27.
27. Oh, I thought you were even younger. But is that something that concerns you?
Honestly, yeah. We have hard sparring days on Wednesdays and Fridays, and it's going to sound like me being a bit of a bitch, but honestly, I avoid the people that like to spar super hard when it's not those days. Because we don't get paid for this. You know, there's no insurance in training, and everybody has a waiver sign. Like, if you get knocked out or get injured, then that's on you. So it doesn't make much sense to me to just get my brain shook when it's not necessary. And honestly, to me, it's never necessary. I don't really believe in the you must train the way you fight logic, because if that was the case, people who compete in jiu-jitsu, it'd be completely different, because nobody's really heel hooking people. No one gets to practice their defense at 100% in jiu-jitsu. No one practices their offense at 100%. Except maybe some Russians. They go pretty hard. But yeah, but like that logic to me is flawed. It's completely flawed, because at some point in time you're going to stop fighting. You're still going to need your body, and you're definitely going to need your brain when you stop fighting. And everybody seems to forget that. I guess they don't know.
Well, that depends on how much money you make, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, but that's a combination of I'm going to be putting out I'm not going to plug myself, but I'm just going to say I'm going to be putting out a video for how sports entertainment started and what the idea of all of it is. Because you might not believe this, but you know how Conor kind of does like a Muhammad Ali thing, but like an Irish Conor style version? Yeah. Muhammad Ali got the idea from an American professional wrestler. Like a really, really, like he's mildly athletic, but he used to just piss people off. And Ali wasn't Ali before he saw this guy, and then he kind of took it and perfected it, and then Conor took it and then took it to the next level. So I'm going to sort of do like this is where it came from, this is the idea, because he's not the guy you'd expect to be that dude, but he basically invented sports entertainment.
Yeah, Ali was on that's why he's so big, not because he was necessarily the best fighter. Arguably, there is, I mean, you have Mayweather, who's the best defending boxer of all time, considering most people's opinion. But it's the trash talk and the whole combination that made Ali to who he was, I think.
Yeah, and he got this idea from a 5'9", some 5'9" white dude that did American wrestling and used to just piss people off and became the biggest star on TV.
No, are we talking like wrestling or WE wrestling?
Professional wrestling, like WWF, WWE style wrestling. He got it from one of those guys.
I don't get the point, man. I used to watch it as a teenager, but I don't follow it at all anymore. What's the point? Once you realize it's not real. It's a little bit like Christmas. Once you realize the Santa Claus doesn't really exist, Christmas doesn't really make sense anymore.
I personally don't watch it, but I think the idea is it's like watching a drama. It's like watching a play. It's like a combative soap opera, and there's enough people that are into that it works. I think it's so over the top and so different and so disconnected from reality that it's entertaining to some people.
Yeah, I think that is.
You won't meet characters like that in real life. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, no problem. Yeah, that's where I'm a little bit split in my opinion about Ariel Helwani, because he's a great MMA journalist, but at the same time, he's also this Jerry Springer of MMA. You know, he tries to put on a fire here and there, and he likes the whole soap opera thing a little bit too much. I think this is where I'm a little bit split, where I would say, okay, he's a great journalist, but on the other hand, he's also just annoying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
but the thing is, I think the reason he is as prominent as he is because there's a lot of people that love that. Like, people just love conflict, and fighting gives you a way of getting conflict resolution out of it. So it kind of just solves everything. If two basketball players have issues with each other, it's not the same, because they're going to go play on a 5v5 team, and the closest you'll get to conflict resolution is one team beating the other, but you never see the conflict get solved between the two individuals.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a ball at you
every single time.
No, I was just thinking out loud, if two basketball players would have beef and then they meet on the court, it's like, I'm going to throw a ball in your face.
Yeah, that's about as bad as it usually gets. Sometimes they fight, and then that gets all over ESPN and all the sports networks, but generally speaking, that's not supposed to happen.
Talking about fights and things that are not supposed to happen, if you guys are into Ryzen, make sure to watch the weigh-ins, because there's a Ryzen event going on today, I think, and Ali Amegbari, or whatever his name is, from AKA Thailand, is fighting, and he is a beast in my opinion, and they had a little face-off issues there at the weigh-ins yesterday or this morning.
They've been talking shit to each other for months.
Yeah, really? I haven't been following that at all.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, he talks shit to Ali Akbari through his manager, if I remember right. Every once in a while, I'll pop online and I'll see one of their Facebook spats. It's pretty good. It's in they make fun of each other. It's pretty funny when they do it, him and the manager, but he doesn't seem to be as funny when he's talking about Ali Akbari. I think he thinks the guy's a joke, in a nutshell. I think Tyler King is his name. He doesn't respect his abilities as a fighter, so he's been calling him out forever, and I guess now he gets his chance to test them out.
Yeah, man.
I think the fight.
No, go ahead.
Please. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying. I think I'm looking forward to that event as well. So there's a day full of MMA filled. But I didn't know that Amegbari talks that much English.
He doesn't. It's his manager. It's mostly his manager. His manager just says. I guess he'll talk for him, because his manager, I guess he's the guy that just creates the drama for him.
Okay.
Ali Akbari seems like a chill dude that just shows up and beats people's asses.
Yeah, that's the impression I have, because he also went to Japan by himself not long ago and didn't speak any English, so I was wondering, but I mixed it up here. I was too much into the fight. I wasn't even really listening who you were talking to until I realized, okay, you were actually meaning the manager that's talking shit and not Amegbari himself.
Oh, no worries. I'm sure that Ali Akbari probably expressed himself through his manager, but I'm sure his manager just added the extra spice on it to make it sound crazy. But the two fights that no one's paying attention to, or at least not people in the West, Kyoji Horiguchi is on the card, and no one knows his name, but he actually fought for a title in the UFC against Demetrius Mighty Mouse, and he was the number 2 flyweight in the UFC, but they let him go because their fight managers are morons. They're absolute morons. So he's like the best guy on the whole Reason card, in my opinion.
Oh,
and
shit.
Yeah, you got an ex-UFC title challenger that fought Demetrius Johnson for 5 rounds and was actually doing really, really well against him until he started to slow down. He's just an absolute beast. He's a nightmare, but Mighty Mouse is Mighty Mouse, and he subbed him with 1 second left of the 5th round.
Man, I think in general people underestimate the power of Asian MMA, or the MMA scene that is growing here. Because let it be Ryzen, or let it be even one championship in Macau the next week, their event, it's a stacked card and it's getting better and better. Obviously it's not on the level where you have the UFC, for example, but it's getting there, and including yourself, man. There's more people coming over here to train, and more people come over here to fight. So of course the level is rising, and it's work in progress. So a lot of people underestimate that action that is going on over here in Asia, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what they don't get is that it's actually gonna keep getting better, because the other guy that I'm really excited about watching is Tenshin Nasukawa.
How can you say those names correctly? That's impossible.
I lived in Japan for 2 years.
Oh, okay. That's cheating.
Yes, I got a bit of practice. I'm not American that I haven't learned any foreign languages. I just am fluent in none of them ever.
And you're really good at Japanese names.
Yeah. The pronunciation isn't so bad. It's kind of like Spanish, where the vowels and consonants have solid sounds that don't change. So an I and an E and an A, they're always the same. But this kid is an absolute savage, and he's kind of like a striking genius. I don't know how to put it. He's 19. I don't know how many things he's won in striking, but if you look him up online, you'll find this match where he fought like a Raja Dominator champion and smoked him with a spinning back kick. The last reason he fought two fights in 3 nights, beat the first guy, asked for a second fight, and they got him another one, and he beat that guy too.
Damn.
So he's just, if they can keep this kid on the track that he's going, it's just going to get amazing. But what he's doing is he's fighting, oh man, how am I forgetting this guy's name right now?
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you?
But yeah, how dare I? But this guy's also a striking beast, and he would have also continued to be a striking beast, but they kind of threw him to the wolves a little bit in K1. But he's been training out at Alpha Male in Sacramento, and he's also a savage.
All right.
Just a straight savage as well. Kizaemon Saiga. That's what it is.
You should really do some podcast episodes about Ryzen or Japanese MMA, because you seem very well informed. And for the people who don't know, by the way, just to drop it in there, you actually have your own podcast called Small Talk Podcast, if I remember correctly. And you can just check that out on YouTube, Google or YouTube, T.J McKenzie or Small Talk Podcast. It's really entertaining. You have a bunch of fighters on there. You had the guys from Float Adigo online. We had a chat not long ago. I really enjoy your podcast that you're doing. So why not build in some Japanese MMA?
I really should. I don't know who I would talk to about it though.
Well,
I'd need a dance partner for that.
True.
I mean, I could just monologue, but it's not the same.
Or you can just monologue with yourself. You can play both roles at the same time. You have the Japanese T.J. McKenzie, and then you have the American the American T.J. McKenzie. I'm sure you figure something out, my friend.
Yeah, I'll think of something. I'll probably add that to my list of videos. Oh, I'll do a history of Japanese MMA and how it affects American MMA or MMA in the West. Fun fact: you can also attribute that to Ali.
What, the Japanese MMA?
Just MMA in general becoming popular. A lot of people don't know this, but Muhammad Ali did a mixed rules fight with a
wrestler,
Antonio,
yeah, man.
Yeah, with a wrestler, but that was a Japanese wrestler, and he does a lot of promotion of wrestling and MMA in Japan.
Before you continue here, I want to go back to the Lawler versus Cerrone fight here, because it's a very close one, very interesting one. Lawler, in my opinion, took the first round. Then the second round, he left a little bit somewhere else, but not in the cage. And then the third one was very equal. How much did you follow the fight while we were talking, and who do you got?
So I did. I have Lawler. They're both absolutely exhausted, and they both kind of went for it. But he had more moments because they're both, I'll call it avalanche fighters for now, for lack of a better word. But if they start catching you, they just sort of pour it on and pile it on. So they're momentum fighters.
Yeah,
that's the term that you usually hear for it. So both of them just fight way better going forward, and it seemed like in this fight, Lawler spent more time going forward from what I noticed.
Yeah, they're two absolute beasts, and I got so sad. You can literally say sad. I was crying a little bit inside when this fight got pulled off the card of UFC 213, and then you had the Nunes versus Shevchenko, and everything just went downhill from there. But then they announced that they're gonna put that fight back together real quick at UFC 214, so I was really, really happy. And the decision is about to be made here, and come on, man. What I don't like about a Cerrone, man, is that he doesn't seem to have a brain. I mean, he seems to be a cool dude and a friendly dude and a fun guy, but sometimes I think he has a lack of brain. And yes! Lawler took this one. Boom! So, rematch, Woodley, straight back into the title talk.
I'm excited for that fight.
Yeah, me too. You think he's gonna call out Woodley immediately here? Because Lawler doesn't.
No idea.
Yeah, Lawler doesn't seem to be that guy that talks a lot.
Nah, he's not a big talker. He's just a good dude that'll punch someone in the mouth.
Or kicks you in the face. That could
Yeah, or
happen
kick
too.
you in the face. Or knee you in the head or elbow you, like in this one.
The next fight, I have to be honest, because we talk Cyborg versus Avenger here, and my opinion why they actually decided to put Woodley versus Maya as a second or slash third title fight on the card is because of only one reason, because Cyborg is gonna make quick work of Tanya Avenger. I have no idea how Avenger can beat Cyborg or how anybody can beat Cyborg at the moment. But at the same time, that's what people thought about Ronda Rousey, and then she just got the right opponent. Where do you...
Whoa.
What?
Those are two completely different types of fighters.
No, what I'm trying to say, I understand that they're complete different fighters, but what I'm trying to say is sometimes it just takes the right person to beat the unbeatable person. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to compare Cyborg and Ronda Rousey, because I think we're very much aware of that Cyborg is the more complete fighter. That is out of the question.
Yeah, I'd say you're right. I just don't know if this woman is the one to do it. She's a bantamweight champ, and she's scrappy, and she's a spoiler, and she's a savage, but she's a bantamweight champ, and Cyborg is a giant featherweight.
Yeah, 145.
And physics is real. You know, like I feel like people, the whole underdog thing, there's not a lot of Frankie Edgars out there. There's not a lot of people that can just fight and punch above their weight, and Frankie's a freak athlete anyway. So you have this woman who, mind you, she's a beast, and she's a spoiler, and I won't completely discredit her, but I will say that she'll probably take a punch or two, and she'll have the same look of what was I thinking on her face that every other chick does. And if she doesn't have that look, that might be to her detriment, because then she might just run into something else that Cyborg is going to throw, because she goes berserk on people.
Yeah, she's just a machine.
She's also she's the momentum fighter of female featherweights, and there's not a lot of chicks that are dumb enough to fight her. So the UFC has to bring women up from bantamweight to fight her.
Well, you have to. Yeah, please continue.
Oh, it's just I don't see any other featherweight women that can beat her. So I definitely don't see any bantamweight women that can beat her.
Yeah, I agree. And when we talk about Cyborg being a machine, the fact that she lands roughly 8 punches per minute, 8.24, and yes, I have my stats open here in my previews, so I'm reading that straight from the paper, but that's amazing stats, because if you compare that to Avenger, she lands like half a punch per minute, and every fight starts standing. So even if you're a good grappler or you're really good at jiu-jitsu, you have to overcome that, and we haven't seen Cyborg on the mats for a very long time, but we also know that she is very confident down there. So yeah, where do you see, if any, chances for Avenger to win over Cyborg or to gain a little advantage? Do you have any idea, or do you just say it's hopeless, let's move on to the next fight? Because to make my point here, that's why I think they put Woodley Maya on the card, because Cyborg is gonna make quick work of Avenger.
I mean, I hate saying this, because it's a person and their dreams and whatnot are on the line, but I think it's going to be something similar. I think her way to win, she'd have to slip a punch or catch a perfect takedown or something like that. But even in those scenarios, Cyborg is very confident on the ground. Like, people don't get to see her ground game because she mollywops people. But that doesn't mean she doesn't have one. You know, it's like Dillashaw. People forgot Dillashaw had a good ground game until he fought Lineker.
Yeah.
Because he's usually just in the matrix, you know, but then he balled up Lineker on the ground too. Like, there's nothing that says that Cyborg is a fish on the ground. And she would have to finish the takedown on Cyborg, who is the bigger, stronger, longer person. But before she can even do that, she has to get past Cyborg's reach.
Yeah.
And probably absorb some of Cyborg's power.
Yeah, that's the issue. You have to come close. That's the same issue that Cormier is facing with Jones later. But if I look at the reach here, it's actually Avenger that has the advantage in reach. 70-inch versus 68. Leg reach. Well, Avenger apparently has no legs, because the stats say she has 0-inch leg reach. I don't see the size of those.
What do you see their height? Is that on there?
I'm looking for it. Height, 68 inch versus 67 inch for Cyborg. So she's 1 inch taller. Does that really make that big of difference?
So Cyborg, you said she's 1 inch taller?
Yes.
And what is the reach difference?
2 inch for Avenger.
It's absolutely irrelevant.
Yeah. So
absolutely
you mean
irrelevant because she has to punch up like we were talking about before.
No, that was on your podcast for the people who haven't listened to that. Can you explain over again what you exactly were talking about? Because that was on your Small Talk podcast. And once again, by the way, go check that out on YouTube. So you have to repeat yourself to explain that to my audience.
That's fair. So the easiest way to put it is if you're the shorter person and if you're shorter by an inch, you would need well over a 4-inch reach advantage for it to be relevant at all, because if you're the taller person and you extend your arm out in a straight line from your shoulder, your reach gets extended compared to the shorter person who, if they were trying to hit you in the head, would have to punch upwards. So to any of the people who need a visual to explain this, if you were to stand facing a wall and touch your fingers out towards the wall to touch it, and then move your hand up or down, you'll notice that your fingers lose contact with the wall. So your reach applies in a straight line. So if a person is an inch or two taller than you, that's an extra degree up that you would have to punch. So if you're the taller person, your line of your punch is more in line with your shoulder. Thus, your reach is at your maximum compared to the other way. So with a 2-inch reach and a 1 inch height disadvantage, her reach is irrelevant. It may as well be even or maybe even to her disadvantage, because then you have to apply punching technique and their stance and how long they like to punch. But if she's throwing straight punches, it might help her a bit because Cyborg likes to throw round punches. Yeah. But Cyborg also has good straights, so we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, hashtag physics are real. I really like that. We should make that hashtag here. How much would you bet on a first round TKO or KO in general by Cyborg? Because I know you have been meeting her or training with her because she comes to Phuket Top Team. That's your home base down in the south of the beautiful land of Smile, Thailand. How much time did you spend talking to her? Did you have a chance to meet her at all? Or yeah. So how is it to train with a person like that?
I haven't trained with her. When I was here, she was doing a seminar, so she was teaching other chicks, and it was really cool what they were doing. But I got to see her hit mitts a little bit, and she is a beast. Like she really cracks. People don't understand. Like they see it and they see her hit someone and they see someone else go down and maybe they're thinking the other chick is tough. No, that other chick is really tough. Cyborg is just that much of a beast. You can look up videos of her sparring with, I think it was an Olympian, possibly an Olympic medalist.
Yeah, I saw that on YouTube.
Yeah, so she's just been getting better as it goes, and for her to not rest on her laurels says a lot about how bad she wants to be a champ.
Yeah, I think she deserves it, and she is. It's a little bit. I don't know who said that, but in fighting, it's basically everybody is talented and has a certain kind of skill level. But in the end, it's really about who wants it more. And if you go through what Cyborg goes through, I mean, with the weight cuts, with the denial of the UFC, and so on and so on, she really deserves a title fight. And on that behalf, shout out to her, because I know for a fact that she is listening from time to time to my podcast. So thank you for tuning in. And maybe Cyborg, if you hear this, you come on the Surrounded by Details podcast next time you are in Phuket, whenever that will be. I hopefully soon if she wins the title.
She's a super cool person, man. When she was in Phuket last time, because I have a couple of friends on the side that have a restaurant and they're huge Cyborg fans. So I was just like, would you like to meet these people? And she said yes. So I had dinner with her, and she's just a really chill, humble person. Just super chill, super humble. Raelb, I'm pretty sure he trains with her, and that's her boyfriend, and he's a really cool dude as well. They're just chill people. And to be as good as she is and to still be humble, like, just look at her. She's just taking it all in. She's not being a dick. Like that smile that she has on her face when she walks out, that's like she's enjoying the moment. You know?
She got the most coolest nickname for a fighter for sure.
Cyborg, yeah, it was her and I think her ex-husband that shared the nickname.
Why would you do that? That's like getting a tattoo of your relationship.
I have no idea why they did it, but she kept the nickname afterwards, and I think he's done fighting, but she isn't. So She deserves it.
Well, it will be more. It will be more related to her than to the other guy, I guess, because I think I know who that is, but I don't. If I hear Cyborg, of course I think of her instead of him.
Of her, oh yeah, for sure.
And yeah, it was really interesting to get a little bit more of an inside view with the whole UFC embedded. And I sound like a trash talker, not trash talker, a soap opera talker. But these small things, how a person like Cyborg goes through the average day, was very interesting to see that in the embedded episodes. I don't know if you have seen those. How much do you follow these big cards before they actually go down? Because I'm the kind of person, I try to listen to a lot of stuff so I can sound a little bit smarter on our phone companions. Doesn't always help, but I try my best. But how much do you take this in? How much interviews do you check? How many videos do you check? How many fights do you rewatch? Because you're really into analyzing fights, what you also do on your podcast.
Yeah, I missed the last couple episodes of Embedded. I stopped at episode 4, but I watch almost everything. The breakdowns that Dan Hardy does, I watch those. The countdowns, I check those out. Because I kind of try to follow these guys to see what it is that they're doing so I can improve myself, or see how it is they're thinking so I can improve myself. And so really, I can't say that I catch everything, but there isn't a lot of serious stuff that I miss. If it's just openly available. Like if they're putting out stuff on a live stream and I miss that, I have a life, you know. So I can't catch everything ever, but
well, you don't.
Catch what I can.
Yeah, well, you don't really go for a swim on the beach, as we learned on your recent podcast. You rather go down to the pool, so you have some time where you actually can analyze fights instead of spending the time on the scooter to go to the beach.
Yeah,
I think
spend that time learning to swim better.
I have to refer here to Ortega, because you said, or you mentioned before, that you like to analyze fights in order for you to improve. And Ortega in the prelims said it before. He is not the kind of fighter, because he's still undefeated, he's not the kind of fighter that just goes and goes. For him, it's the interest to find out how he's gonna lose. What mistake is he gonna do when he loses? So I think that is a very interesting angle, to see fights and other fights from that perspective, to actually wonder, okay, how am I gonna lose? What is it gonna take for me to lose? Why I'm gonna mess up? What are you looking forward when you actually lose? I mean, that is a stupid question to ask in general, because you don't want to lose, but what are you looking forward the most to when you lose? What is the process for you of learning?
Like, how do I think I'm going to lose? If I lose, because I got outsmarted. Okay.
Then that, explain yourself. What does that mean? Do you do math competitions in the middle of the cage, or what do you mean by that?
No, so the way, what a lot of people miss if they don't compete in MMA is that, I think one of the best ways I've ever heard it explained is that fighting is it's a game of ask and answer, right?
Yeah.
So you present someone with a problem, they present you with a problem. You solve their problem, they solve your problem. And you do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's like chess.
It's like chess, until somebody runs out of questions to give, or somebody runs out of answers to someone's questions. So I have my loss in MMA as an amateur was because I didn't pull the trigger enough, and the guy outsmarted me. He competed better. And my loss in Muay Thai was the exact same way. I couldn't figure the guy out quickly enough, and he competed better. And it was the same way in wrestling. I haven't been finished, and I never lose like landslide losses. It's I don't have an answer. Did you just see her get caught with that hook?
Cyborg. So bam.
I believe if I lose, it's because I fought a more technical person or somebody really intelligent with a good game plan. Because I know that I'm always thinking, see, this is going exactly the way I thought it would.
Yeah, man. That's exactly why I said why they took Woodley and Maya on the card. It looks a little bit like you have a machine fighting versus a cookie. No offense to Avenger here, but she looks not as competitive as Cyborg does. Now she tries to take Cyborg down to the mat, which is really interesting. But Cyborg, smart. Just stand up. Don't go there.
Yeah, she doesn't have to. That's what people are missing. Like, there's absolutely, you can choose. It's not a jiu-jitsu tournament. You can disengage.
Yeah, but I want to come back here to you saying that you get outsmarted and the other person competes better and you don't read the other person fast enough. How can you train something like that? Isn't that what you do when you spar? Or how do you train exactly that specific point of, okay, I'm going to learn to read the other fighter better?
I'll put that back once again to the style of sparring. If you're sparring super hard all the time, you're sparring to survive. You're sparring not to get hurt. Yeah. If you're sparring light, like the way I prefer to spar, I try to trick people when I spar. Okay. I'll throw a punch, look at their reaction. I'll check what their reaction is and do something depending on what their reaction is. So that's what I look for when I'm sparring. I look for what other people's habits are and how I can exploit those habits. Yeah. And I think that's why I've improved the way I have, because with some people, they throw set combinations. They go 1, 2, 3. They get it in their head. They go 2 to the body, 3 to the head. Yeah. And they go low kick. And that's just, it's what they do. Because it's high percentage stuff, and it works. Yeah. And if you're an athletic guy, you're a strong guy, or you have a good chin, you can wear people down and absolutely do that. There's people at the highest levels of the UFC that fight like that, but it doesn't match my personality. That's not how I express myself.
Yeah, I think I think Dominic Cruz is the best living or fighting proof for that, because he's exactly one of those fighters. He just throws certain things in order to see your reaction, how you react, and how he can take advantage of that. So I think he's a very good example to what you mean. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Him and Lomachenko they're the exact same way. And that, I think, to me, because every once I'll get cracked at least once a fight, right? And then the guys at the gym, they'll be like, "You have a great chin." I'm just like, "Yeah, I have a great chin, but I don't need to know that. I don't need to get tested." You know, like, that's not
unnecessary information. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I don't want to find out I have a good chin. I don't want to go into my fights and look to absorb strikes. That's dumb, because one day I'm gonna be done fighting, and then I'm still gonna need my brain for stuff. You know, like, so my style, my style of fighting, I try to look for where I can win. Like, what is the smoothest path to a finish? You know, it's not just winning. I want to get a finish and get out of there. And I guess it probably sounds like I'm fighting from a place of fear, but I prefer to look at it as I'm fighting from a place of efficiency. And I think the fear of not being able to use your brain at its capacity at the age of 30 is a perfectly rational fear to have. Anybody who doesn't care about using their brain for the last 2/3 to 3/4 of their life is either an idiot or I don't know.
I have to interrupt you here shortly. What is going on here with Cyborg? I kind of missed out on that.
What's going on with Cyborg? I have no idea. My stream seems to have temporarily frozen. I got the 3 dots.
Okay, because
going across.
Okay, I poke Cyborg. There's a timeout because Cyborg got poked in the eye.
Oh.
She doesn't seem too happy. But this is, man, where you just say whatever the doctor want to hear because you want to get that title. Because your name has been on that belt for so long, you cannot lose this fight. I think there's more pressure on Cyborg than on Avenger, actually.
Oh, for sure. Avenger's the spoiler. She's the underdog. No one expects her to win, you know? So, like, it's just she's doing this for her.
But how funny would it be, I think Ariel Helwani said it not long ago, how funny would it be if the 2 champions in 145 would be, what's her name? The Dutch girl that just relinquished her title? Germaine Gerandemi? Yeah, and Avenger. That wouldn't make no sense at all, because everybody has been waiting for for Cyborg to come and get the title.
Was it Gerandemi that gave up the belt?
Yeah, of different reasons. The UFC said they don't want. She didn't want to fight Cyborg because she's on steroids and blah blah blah. And then you have Gerandemi who said, "Yeah, I had agreement with the UFC that I was going down after I win the belt because I wanted to go down and blah blah blah." It's the normal talk, man, and we will never know the real truth. Oh, she got tagged in your face. Damn. But she's a warrior, man. Avenger is staying in there, and looks like she's gonna make it into the second round.
That's in and of itself impressive, but she's the Invicta champ for a reason.
Yeah, but she's just eating feet and fists at the moment. But she only 30 seconds to go.
You have yourself a normal mortal with a self-described mom bod versus Cyborg.
But she really looks like a cookies and tights there, man. I don't want to be mean or anything, but she looks so out of shape. And for somebody who's fighting, and especially for somebody who's a champ, shouldn't you be in shape a little bit more? Maybe that's where I come. Maybe that's.
I don't think she's out of shape at all. I think that's just how she's built, because she's not a really young chick, and women tend to carry around more fat. I mean, think of like even for dudes, some dudes carry around more fat. If you look at Kevin Gastelum, he just carries around more fat. I mean, dude, like he's like, I love Mexican food, and he has trouble cutting weight. But some people just they don't get all cut up like that. And she's fighting above her weight class.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, to my defense, I have to say it's my photography heart here, because as most of my audience know, and for the people who tune in new to this stream, I'm one of the photographers who won championship over here in Asia. I'm very visual, so if I would have just seen Cormier and Jones, I would obviously go with Jones, but within my 2 years in MMA, I learned that that is not the case, and you should be very, very careful when it comes to looks, because it's definitely not always what you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How did I not mention Cormier? He's the best example.
You see what I did there? You see what I did there? The newbie just beat you.
That was well done. Yeah, Cormier he's the king of those with a dad bod.
Yeah, he's
the
just
emperor.
amazing. The emperor.
Him and speaking of emperors, Fedor was the same guy as well. He was the last emperor. Example. He had.
No, Fedor is a really good example, because he never looked like a really strong dude. He looks like the comfy Russian home daddy is coming to fight.
Yeah, and then he shows up and takes people's souls.
Yeah.
It's insane.
How can you say something like that? It's. I mean, I love Lawler. I'm a huge fan of Robbie Lawler. But how can you say something when you fight, I'm gonna take your soul? Dude, shut your mouth. That doesn't sound cool at all. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, man. I'm gonna take you to the rainbow land. If you have the right voice, you can say everything.
Yeah, I think Lawler's just so quiet and it sounds out of place with him. I think who would say something like that? It would sound crazy. I think Cerrone's he comes across as too happy, and if Khabib said that, if Khabib Nurmagomedov said that, it would sound pretty hard.
Yeah, but he's a beast, man. I'm looking forward to see him fighting versus Ferguson, and that's like the Cerrone versus Lawler all over again, because that is a fight that a lot of people wait for and that a lot of people want to see. I don't want to see a Gaethje versus Ferguson yet. Gaethje can be out there and entertain for another 1-2 fights. I mean, now he does the Ultimate Fighter thing, which I think is, why does he do that? Because it's who still watches the Ultimate Fighter? I don't know. However, my point is, that's one of the fights, man, I really want to see this year is Ferguson versus Nagamurov.
I think any real fan of the sport probably wants to see that fight. I have no idea if it'll ever happen, though.
Why not?
Ferguson, why? It depends on what state it's going to be in, what the California, I mean, because the California Athletic State Commission, they're changing the weight cut rules. Like for this event by itself, they changed it. So I'm not even sure how Cyborg made weight for this with their new guidelines, but that would definitely put Khabib in a tough spot for making weight if he has to follow their guidelines. So it depends on what state they're in. Ferguson's probably going to demand crazy money because the fight fell through. All the stuff going on in the background is going to make that weird, I'm sure.
Bam! And another foot in your face, Avenger. I'm feeling so... I don't want to sound like a dick, even though I know I sound like a dick. But that's the beauty of being a spectator. You can just go crazy. And man, she eats a lot of shit at the moment.
Yeah, she's tough. She's super tough.
What do you think of... I mean, if you don't have Khabib versus Ferguson, who would you put against Ferguson next? Because I think he is the next in line for a big fight. Conor is obviously busy with Mayweather. So I think Ferguson is the man to make the next big match in that division. How willing would you be as the UFC to bring back a Nate Diaz? Because he's just chilling, smoking weed, and sitting on his bike and swimming and running. The problem here,
see them doing that.
Yeah, the money.
I don't see them bringing in Diaz to fight Ferguson because Diaz and they know that. Oh, what a punch! Diaz and they know that he wouldn't make as much money. and it'll be really, really hard to convince a guy that made a few $1 million to go back to making a couple $100,000 for a super tough fight.
That's true. I mean, the chance, as we started this podcast off with, is always that you leave the cage, or the octagon as it's called in the UFC. Cage is for one championship. That you leave that... holy shit! Yeah, I'm a little bit behind you, so I know now I know what punch you meant. But yeah, it's always a risk to step into the cage or the octagon. That's for sure. And I don't know, man. It's when people say, you know, I don't do this for the money, I do this for passion because I love fighting. There's probably maybe 2 people that I believe that from. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure you will be able to say a few names where I go like, oh yeah, that guy too. But Lawless Cerrone, man, these are 2 guys for me where I really think they just step into the fucking octagon because they enjoy what they do. They don't give a shit about the money. But other people, man, they don't want to get their face smashed all the fucking time. Especially if you're not a top fighter. If you're down there, maybe 7, 8, 9, maybe even up to 15 ranked in your division, and you have to realize at some point, okay, I'm never gonna make the big money, so I have to do this until I have enough money saved and I say goodbye. I mean, what about you, man? You fight yourself. Do you really enjoy every time you step into the cage or a Muay Thai fight? What is it that you enjoy about fighting? I never really understand that.
I enjoy learning and competing. Everything else, if I'm being completely honest, I kind of hate. Like, if I'm being 100% honest with you, a lot of this stuff sucks. But that's how I know that I really do love what I do, because I hate everything else so much. So much. I mean, the thing is, it's kind of like, if say you do it for fun, right? You show up when you want. You don't have to compete, so it's entirely a learning experience. You know what I mean? Like, a learning experience, if you're doing what you enjoy, there's no downside to that. It's like if you pick up a book and you read a couple chapters and you put the book down for a couple months. That's what martial arts is for most people. But to be a fighter is like, if you pick a book up, you read a couple chapters, and then you're like, fuck, I gotta finish the rest of this book, and you have like a week to do it. And it's that way every single week. And then you have a test at the end of every couple months on all the books you read. That's what it is to be a fighter.
Okay, so it's basically like being back in school. I hated school.
Yeah. Yeah, so the cool part is passing the test. The feeling when you pass the test is awesome.
Well, I don't know how that feels. I never passed the test.
Fair enough. So there's passing the test, and there's a couple chapters of the book that you enjoyed before you started to hate the book. Yeah. And that's MMA to me. But I have a timeline, dude. Oh, beautiful right hand. Like, if I'm not where I want to be in the next couple months to a year, then I'm just going to hang it up, because there's lots of other things. I mean, I understand if you're the fighter that loves what you do, oh shit, and you don't have anything else, and you don't have anything else to do, then I understand. You just keep doing it, because there's a lot of fighters. Like, Anthony Johnson is a really good example. He seemed to hate MMA altogether, but he's like, I'm good at it, and I make hundreds of thousands of dollars when I fight.
Yeah, dude, then, just sorry to interrupt you, but 2 things. First of all, Johnson is going to come back at some point because he wants to fight Jones. And second of all, can you see the fear in Avenger's eyes?
Yeah, I told you. She would get that, oh shit, look on her face.
Yeah, is just crazy.
There's some people that when they hit you, it doesn't make sense. Like, how hard they're hitting you doesn't make sense.
But she keeps in them, and I can't believe that she made it to the 3rd round.
Yeah, she's tough as fuck. That's why I said, like, it was either going to be to her detriment, or not. But she's trying to find a way. Yeah, she's sticking in there, but her head's going to be ringing for a couple days after this.
Well, maybe you can heal that with more cookies. I don't know. I'm being an asshole here. I'm sorry. But let's go back to the afterlife of T.J McKenzie if he stops fighting. I mean, you said you have a timeline. Well, what is your plan? Are you going to go back to the military? Because if people have been listening to this podcast, you should also go back in history of the Surrounded by Details podcast. We had you on, and there it goes. Over. It is over. Stop the fight.
Yep.
boom, there you go, finally she had this fucking belt. However, not surprised, but what I'm trying to say here is have a listen to our former episodes with T.J McKenzie, because you are a American military guy. You were stationed in Japan for a while, and are you gonna go back to the military if fighting doesn't work out, or do you say, so far I don't want to think about that?
Go back to the military.
God damn you.
Why? Being a civilian sucks.
Yeah, well, that was very racist on the civilians here. How dare you to say something like that?
How dare I say that? I mean, I think it's okay because I'm a civilian at the moment. It just like it operates differently, and it doesn't, for me, it doesn't make that much sense.
Well, I mean, do you don't have any ideas what you could do next to military? Because the military seems to me always like you're getting told at what you have to do, and I was recently watching a documentary about the Second World War. I really love documentaries in general, and about politics and about the World War. I'm not a violent person, but I think it's just interesting, the psychology behind it, how we can turn so many people into something that they wouldn't do normally, like hurting other people. However, somebody said the German military was very efficient as long as they had somebody to tell them what to do. And I'm not saying that you are not capable of that, but are you afraid of missing that, to have somebody there that is taking charge for you, or do you don't like to be in charge? Explain yourself.
I would like to say that with very, 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 very few exceptions, as a human, you can't exist without someone telling you what to do. As a fighter, the guy telling me what to do is Eric. If I worked at a convenience store, I would have a manager. If I worked at a company, I would have a CEO. Basically, unless you run your own business, and even if you run your own business, you have customers, and your customers tell you what to do.
I think there's also different ways of being told what to do, because if you are getting inspired by somebody, for example, they tell you kind of what to do too, but it's a different way. Does it make any sense what I mean here, for example?
I understand what you're saying, but the inspired thing that's more of a position for someone who doesn't have a boss. So say you run a t-shirt company, right? Then the inspiration is relevant, and that contributes directly to the ideas that you have and the t-shirts that you put out, so that you can give things to your fan base and probably inspire others. If you work at a gas station, inspiration's irrelevant unless you're going home on your own time to make your own things happen for yourself. So generally speaking, everybody everywhere always has a boss. If you're a doctor, you have a boss. You know, like if you're a lawyer, your boss is, well, not, I guess your client wouldn't be your boss per se.
But physics is real. Hashtag physics is real, because physics tell you your limit of what you can do and what you cannot do. So it's kind of your boss as well. As I said before, there's many different ways of having a boss.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really a problem. And the thing is, the structure of the military, the way it works is, there's more or less oversight depending on what it is that you do, right? So say if you're an airplane mechanic, right?
Yeah.
You have a boss, but your boss will usually say something like, fix this airplane. And then everything he tells you will have something to do with either fixing the airplane, or, because you're in the military, being somewhere on time, or being in shape in case you need to do something else. So it's very focused and funneled what it is that you do, right? So it depends entirely on your job. So as a fighter, it's for me, it's be at this class at this time, punch this guy harder, look for this submission. It's okay, your nose isn't bleeding, he just knocked the snot out of it. You're good, wipe that off, get back in there. You can have water, you can't have water. So it's the parallels between them are they're all over the place.
Yeah, but
it depends on.
why do you have a boss? It's mostly because they want you to be more efficient. So once you learn how to be efficient yourself, you don't really need a boss. That's why I cannot do. I mean, I'm a team player. I can work with other people as long as I can work out things my way. I want to make my own mistakes in order to figure out, okay, I can't do this because of that and that. So that's what I enjoy with actually being or making mistakes. If you have somebody who tells you what to do, I think you miss out on a lot of this experience. And that's why I often have an issue with military, because I can't really see the creative freedom in order to develop yourself as a person or your mind. And with that being said, I'm not saying that you cannot develop as a human being in the military, because discipline and friendship are just different ways of actually learning who you are and who you can be. But mental wise, I think the military is not the best spot to actually develop yourself as a human being. And I've not been in the military myself, but I've been in the military doing internships, because I moved from Germany to Sweden, so I kind of ducked it in a way and didn't really need to go to the military.
I agree and disagree for two reasons. One, and this one's a joke, by the way, maybe Germany is just so organized that they don't let you stray. The other one is, if you have a normal job, your boss tells you a lot of what to do. But depending on what your job, like say if you're special forces or special tactics, they train you to the point where they just say, this is your objective and how you do it is on you. They'll say you have to be here at this time, you have to do this, you have to leave at this time. So how you get that done is entirely up to you. And the bright side and downside of if I were to go back to the Air Force is that my options are super limited in the jobs I can have, where I either go back to the job that I had or I go to what's called an undermanned career field.
What does that include?
Undermanned career, that includes like a crypto linguist and special forces, basically. That's it. So if I go back, I don't want to be a crypto linguist. That's the most boring job in the history of all time. So I intend to go back and be special forces. So I need to swim more, and that's why I'm at the pool.
Bam, but the ocean has bigger waves, which makes you stronger while you swim. So we could once again start a 1 hour argument here. What is better for you? To go down the stairs to the pool, or to actually go a little bit longer to the beach?
You learn to crawl before you walk. I'm not going to try to swim 1,000 meters in the ocean. There's no safety net for the ocean.
Well, again, you don't need to fucking swim out a mile or two. It doesn't really matter. But I kind of see your point, man. The ocean is... it's a weird place to be, especially in Thailand, man. You have triggerfish and all those weird things underwater. I enjoy the water, but ever since I started freediving, man, I also realized, dude, there's so much beneath there that you don't even know.
Yeah, it's an ecosystem.
Yeah, man. I was... oh, shit! They're doing the Snoopcast commercial here, and somebody was doing a windmill in the...
Did you hear my... I was talking about that. You missed my podcast.
Which one? The latest one? I saw that you posted a new one.
It was a couple of weeks ago. I did like a lot of the stuff. I'm honestly just I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm kind of proud about this. Like I mentioned the snoopcasting stuff before it came out. I mentioned the weight changing stuff before it came out. They're thinking of putting sensors in the UFC gloves. I mentioned that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I want to talk about that, by the way. That's a good idea, because I have a friend here. I had him on the podcast not long ago, JR from Lion's Head Boxing Gym, I think 2 episodes ago. However, he posts a lot of stuff about these sensors or chips that you put under your wraps, and they kind of measure how many punches you throw, the accuracy, and all this kind of stuff. Now, my question is, if you put that, because you put that right above your wrist, doesn't that hurt if you miss a punch, or does it distract you in any way?
I've never worn them, but I'm pretty sure that as a fighter, you'll stop noticing them, and I assume they'll make them small enough that they don't really get in the way. I'm not sure what size the sensors are.
That's what she said.
But they'll probably figure it out. They'll have some way to hide it in between the wraps where it doesn't get in the way too bad. Hopefully they can make it flat, or at least close to flat. Then it won't be a problem.
Which shouldn't be impossible. I mean, you have all those weird technologies nowadays, touchscreen, and there should be a possibility to make them really, really flat. That you just have basically a layer of paper or like a plastic card, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you just have it. You just have an RF chip in there, kind of like you would with a like a credit card, and then you just have whatever chip you need, so that the RF will be able to send the data to whatever hub they have next to it, and all the data will be taken in real time, so they'll be able to make all their graphs and stuff like that Americans love keeping the stats for.
Yeah, it's sports in general, man, because it keeps entertainment for the people. If you can mention all those funny stats, that's also why I have my little info sheets up here while we talk, so I can just pretend to drop in some knowledge while we talk. You know, like hey, Maya versus Woodley, for example. KO 12% from Maya versus 41. You know, it just sounds smart, and people just, whoa, I don't know what it's about stats. People enjoy stats. I'm a huge fan of stats, man. I have book holdings about my freelance business as a photographer and my podcast spendings and all this kind of stuff. I just like to see numbers, and I like numbers in general. It doesn't mean that I'm good at math, but there's just something with it. You like to see something grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it helps you put everything in a box, and humans love putting things in boxes, but also
it's a dick in a box.
Yeah. The data lets you know what direction to go in. It gives you a clearer picture of what it is that you need to do, instead of you just throwing arrows in the dark hoping for something.
Yeah, it makes more sense, and it's easier. It's always, which brings us back to actually being told what you like to do. It's easier to do stuff if you know what to do. It's the same for me with workouts, man. I used to be a dancer before, and then I did some gym workouts, some small stuff, and then I had a period off for a couple of years, and it was really hard for me to come back because I didn't really know where to start, because I had a certain goal. I want to gain a little bit of weight, and yeah, as more I tried, as more I realized, oh shit, I don't really know what to do right, because there's so many people, they put it in different ways. You should do that, but then you realize that they do that because of their own experience. That doesn't mean that it works for you as an individual. But now, once I come back to it a little bit more, and I know I start to realize, okay, that is efficient for me. That doesn't help me at all, but this does. It makes it easier because I know all I have to do, and yeah, I have to tap myself on the shoulder here, because I had a perfect Navy SEAL week, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, went to the park.
There you go.
And did some weight workout, a morning hike in the city, average 7K. So I'm really proud of myself this week. But my point is, because I knew what to do. Wake up, walk to the fucking park, do my 30 minutes exercises, bam bam, and you are done. And after that you can do whatever the fuck you want. But it was so easy once you realize, okay, this is what I have to do. That's why I make to-do lists.
So like I was saying about the military and the different jobs, so you have what's called in the Air Force a tech school, right? So to put it in perspective, there are some jobs where your tech school is maybe 4 to 8 weeks, right? And usually those jobs are for like finance or something like that, where you hang out in the office and you have some guy that comes and micromanage you. So you have a certain set of skills, but you're limited to that set of skills, right? The job that I intend to get when I go back, it's roughly a 2-year tech school. So that's 2 years to become competent in it, and then they give you more training so you can get further confident. And at that point, they cut you loose and they say, look, you know what we need you to know. Get it done.
Why don't you just become a fight podcast host here in Asia? Because I know, man, you really love fighting, and it doesn't matter if you're good at it or not. You still have a certain kind of love for fighting. I mean, if somebody would offer you a job and say, here, go and be a commentator for the WLC, the World Lethweight Championship in Myanmar, the most brutal mixed martial art on the on the planet, you wouldn't say no to that.
I would say, what are you paying, and is there any future in this?
Of course, you are a very reasonable guy. You know that?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to say, "Fuck it, that sounds awesome. I have no idea. I will do it."
You see, that's what I did to come here, and it's working out well. But I'm not insane enough to overstay my welcome. It's kind of like if you're gambling, you got to know when to cut your losses. There's a point where if you're up $200 and you have a chance to win an extra $100, but you might go down $500, you leave the table with your $200.
Yeah.
You know, like like there's a point where you can gain a bunch of experience and learn a bunch, but then it becomes detrimental. I feel like at that point you should cut your losses.
I think at some point, well, in that case, follow the stats, because hashtag physics are real and hashtag stats are real. But well, stats are often misleading. But point is, sometimes you just need to dive blind into certain things, man. If you want it or not, you just need to do it. But going back, I'm not talking you down in any way. I'm just sharing my experience why I could never do that. I think for me, it has always been a sign of going back to something is some sort of weakness. Now, with that being said, I took a break from photography for 2 years because I started early and I was confronted with deadlines very early on, and I just wanted a break. But I came back to photography 2 years later after I took a break because it was itching in my fingers again. I really loved it. So do you really love the military that much that you say I'm going back because I love it, or you say going back because that seems like the most simplest solution?
It's a combination of things, and it's not so much that it's not a simple solution at all, because not even a little bit, because to put it in perspective, it's more of a risk, honestly, for me to go back to the military than it would be for me to stay a civilian.
Sorry to interrupt you here real quick, because I don't know if you're still watching the fights. Woodley is walking to the cage, and I see Mr. Ben Askren, who, rumor has it, is going to defend his title in one championship in Shanghai, September 2nd, against a Swede who knocked out Luis Santos with a vicious ground knee. Basically, the head from Luis Santos flew all the way out of the cage. So just a reminder for the people who are not familiar with Asian MMA that much. Follow Ben Askren. He's a champ here. He's a dominant champ, and he's about to defend his title in Shanghai. But it's a tough business to get MMA into Asia. So nothing confirmed yet. And to build in a little plug here at the same time, on Tuesday I will be talking to Bear Fraser. He is a content provider for One Championship. We're going to look ahead of the upcoming cards in Macau and Kuala Lumpur, and maybe talk about what's going to happen next for the China market with One Championship. We have no idea, but sometimes we like to talk out of our ass. So tune in on Tuesday to make sure to hear all about it. And with that being said, TJ, please go back to what you were referring to.
Wait, before I do, what weight class is Askren fighting at?
I knew that you're going to ask me that question, and I have no idea. I would need to check that up on the World Wide Web. Let me
Okay, if it's welterweight, I pick Askren. I don't think no one outside of the UFC is fucking with him at welterweight.
I think he is welterweight, but I'm not. Now I'm going on UFC website.
Then he's dead. He's gonna get ground and pounded. The king of funk is just gonna do his thing all over again.
Well, he still refuses to come on my podcast.
Ben Askren?
Yeah, he's one of the few champions in One Championship. Only few. I think haven't talked to, I think 2 or 3 of them. That's mostly because they don't speak English. But otherwise, I had all the champs on the podcast so far. So I'm still working on it, and I can understand him as well, because I can imagine that there's a lot of people who want to talk to him. But I'm going to get his funky ass on my funky podcast one day and see what he has to say, because he seemed like a funny person to bounce around with in a conversation. You know what I mean? He's quick in his mouth. He knows how to make jokes. So hopefully one day I will be working on that. And if the Shanghai event will happen, I will make sure to get over to Ben Askren and say, hey, Funky, you don't want me to kick your ass with my camera in your face, so you better come on my podcast.
Totally fair. But to sum up all the stuff I was saying before, because I don't want to like throw the mood off from this fight too much, but basically for jobs like special tactics jobs or special forces jobs, there's a really high, I forget what basically fail out rate. So it's kind of like 1 in... Like, if 10 dudes go in, maybe 2 or 3 dudes will pass for the whole 2 years.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, it's for a multitude of reasons. Some guys drop out because it's just so long and it's easy to get disheartened. Some guys can't pass the physical standards. Some guys, they can't... Because it's not always the easiest stuff to learn. Depending on the job, you might have to learn air traffic control. Ridiculously stressful. You might have to learn meteorology. Ridiculously stressful. Most people don't even score high enough on the aptitude test to get a lot of these jobs. And that's before the physical assessments come in. And then they check you for your personality. And then they teach you it's a long, arduous process. And honestly, the easy way out for me would just be to go to college.
But how long could you do a job like Special Forces? Because like in fighting, you have to be at your physical top of top game of physical abilities, and that stops.
They rotate you in and out.
What does that mean?
So say you finish your training, right? So you're 2 years into your service. You might deploy a couple times, so you'll have like 1 or 2 years of deployments, and they'll go, okay, so you learned a lot from your deployment. Take a year or two to go be an instructor and teach the next guys coming in, or change the curriculum so the next guys will be aware of what they need when they get deployed. And they'll go, are you bored of teaching? You know, and then you go back to being the guy that deploys again.
Okay.
And then so they'll cycle you back and forth, and then if you get to the point where you can't do it anymore, they'll put you in an administrative role where you're mostly just teaching and keeping people in line and making sure that stuff gets done. They're not going to send like a 40-year-old dude to go hop out of a plane and kick down doors. They can, if you're that guy and you're up for it, yeah, but you'll mostly be in a leadership position. So you go from, oh snap, the fight started, from being like the super gung-ho guy to like the teacher at some point. So that's kind of how they round it out and they work it, because you gain a bunch of experience. So it would be a waste for the guy with all that experience to just die, you know? So they just don't allow it, and they put that guy in a position where he can teach other people how to not die. And then as it changes, you get phased out because you're old. You know?
It sounds so funny when you say that, teach other people not to die. And it's very interesting, man, how all this kind of stuff works and how different people can be. I could never imagine to go through all that and then don't even know if I would be able to make it. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to waste my time.
It's the same way with anything.
Yeah, but I don't really think so, because it's after all, you're 27 years old, you know, and you don't want to be... In Germany, we have the saying, the forever students. Germany is the country of the forever students, because you have people going to the university until they're fucking 40, 42, and they study forever. And before you know, man, you spend all your life on the bench learning instead of actually going out there and gather experience in life. But again, people are different, and people want different things out of life. It's,
Yeah, see, I can't understand that. Because the thing is, if you're in the military, like in 6 years, I was in like 5 or 6 different states and 3 or 4 different countries. You know, a lot of people don't get to do that. So
But how much do you really get to see of those countries? Because you normally, I can imagine, spend most time at your base or doing things that you have to do because of work.
No, depending on where you're at and what you do, sometimes you get weekends. Or I think one of the best things is at least for the American military, every year you get 30 days of paid leave, right? So what I would do is I would never use my leave during the year. And then once a year, I would take 30 days and just go somewhere. And that was actually how I ended up getting to Thailand the first time, because I ended up saving a year and a half leave because I was in Japan. So if I'm in Japan, where the fuck am I going to go for vacation? You know? So I took that, and that was the first time I went to Thailand. So I got to spend a month and a half in Thailand while still getting a check.
And here you are.
So there's balances. There's checks and balances. So I'll go to this country and I'll have something to do. Maybe I'll get a weekend to check it out. But that's still better than the guy who stayed at his university and had to work an odd job so he could stay at university. And then he's 40 and he's never left the country. You know, or the person who decided to work in the machine shop and they couldn't make enough money. So they just had to stay in the country. So I got to see and do a lot more than I would have had I chosen a different path. And if nothing else, it's just not boring. You know, like one day I'm going to be old, and
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. And as of right now, I have a pretty cool story. Like, I have a really cool story. So if I went back and I did that, and I did make SF, and I did finish the 2 years and get my beret and all this other stuff, I would just be adding more stuff to the story.
I like that, because not long ago, sorry to interrupt you, not long ago when we were talking about you starting a podcast, you said, on social media in general, I don't really have that much interesting of a life, you said. It's nice to hear you actually switching that a little bit more and realize how what's the word I'm looking for? How blessed sounds weird because I'm not religious, but you get the idea how blessed you are to be who you are and do what you do. You need to appreciate that.
Yeah, and I do, and I guess I have to kind of recant my last statement. As a fighter, I don't do much most of the time. You have like little moments of where you do a lot, but generally you have to tone all of that down because you're focusing on the fight.
Yeah.
Right. And I think most people who do anything, there's going to be these little moments of like super highlights, and then there's the in between.
I know exactly what you mean. I have the same in photography. It's when you have different gigs and you travel to all those countries, it's always a highlight. But then in between, man, you need to do your fucking editing, you need to do your book holdings, you need to go to the park and do your workout. I know exactly what you mean. Social media can be very elusive because a lot of people only post the best of. And I want to take ring girls, for example. A lot of people follow ring girls on social media. And the fact that they actually can make a living out of just with taking photos of themselves with big boobs is amazing to me. Do it if people are stupid enough or horny enough to follow that. You deserve to make money out of that, but that's not my point of the story. My point is that you think they are constantly running around in bikinis and shit. No, man, they take 20,000 pictures once they are at the beach and then they stock it up. And that's why social media is so elusive to so many people.
Yeah, and a lot of people try to live their lives as they think these people do on social media, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I'm so cool with vocalizing the fact that I'm not always doing crazy shit. Because I feel like, I mean, it's easy to put the image out there like you are, but it's false.
Yeah, but you don't have to. You need to find the mix. It's the same with everything. If you drink too much alcohol, you become an alcoholic. If you smoke too much weed, you become lazy. You need to find the right mix. And on that behalf, I want to give a shout out to B-Boy Seelil. It's a friend of mine from Laos, one of the most craziest B-boys or break dancers in the world, and he used to train in his little hut in Laos. However, he has become one of the most powerful power movers in the world, and he started to post training clips of when he failed, actually not of the crazy stuff he does, but when he fails. And I really enjoy to see that, because a lot of people, as you said before, they try to be like that, but they don't realize how much work goes into that to actually accomplish a move like that, or to accomplish the lifestyle that people often seem to have. Yeah, but it's the same thing, man. People are all drinking water and people all taking a dump. Wow, Maya landed a fucking overhand left, I think it was, on Woodley. Interesting fight, by the way. So yeah, social media can be very elusive. You need to find the right mix. You need to stay true to yourself and true to your audience as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. Oh, by the way, this fight is going exactly how I thought it would. Woodley keeping a super low stance, throwing a leg kick when he can, and just trying to shut down the takedowns. Yeah,
but that costs a lot of energy, doesn't it?
It takes way less energy to shut down a takedown than it does to fail a takedown.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think
there's no way.
Did you see the first round? So who would you give the first round to?
Woodley.
Why?
Maya got no takedowns, and Woodley landed the more telling shots. Yeah, stuff like that. That's why.
Now that is very interesting, because it looked like Woodley tagged Maya here, but was hesitating there for a second to go after him, but then said, no.
He's not dumb enough.
I'm not going to do that.
Guard. You never hop into Maya's guard. That's absolute foolishness. If you can drop him, you get the score for the knockdown, and then you back out. The end.
Yeah, but you might also miss out on the chance to finish this fight. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter. It's a bad risk to take, because Maya's so good on the ground. Period. Yeah. If people have done breakdowns on him, if you're in his guard, he always looks for a single leg sweep, right? And then from his single leg sweep, he picks top, and from top, he kills you. And it's the same sequence every single time. Maya's so good because he does 2 or 3 things damn near perfectly. So if you can avoid the entire equation and all of what he's good at, like just not going to the ground with him, you do it.
Yeah.
And that's what Woodley just did, and that's what Woodley's been doing, and that's why he's having success.
Yeah, it reminds me very much of a football player, and we talk European football here / soccer. Bayern Munich, my favorite team, has a player called Arjen Robben, and he does the same shit every single fucking game. But he is so good at it that nobody seemed to be able to stop him. And it seems to be the same thing with Maya, man. He's just a fucking legend on the ground. So the easiest way is, no matter what, avoid the fucking ground game. Keep it standing.
Exactly. And Woodley's smart enough to do that. You remember Rustam? Woodley is basically playing the same ground game or the same plan of attack that I would have tried to use if they would have okayed me to fight him.
By the way, for our listeners who only hear us, because at the moment we are only recording audio, we will be back in the studio within the near future. More information about to come soon. But if you would like to imagine how Mr. T.J McKenzie from Phuket Top Team looks like and myself, it's basically the Woodley versus Maia fight. I'm a tall and skinny white dude, and you're a fucking superhero black dude. You see,
I'm glad that I can look close enough to Woodley. I'll take that as a major compliment. It's kind of abused.
But you look the fucking same. You're in shape like crazy.
Yeah, it's all the wrestling. But if you watch what Woodley's doing right now, the reason why Maia can't just go through him is because he's feinting. He's feinting a lot. He's faking punches. He's faking forward movement. He's using head movement. So what it does is it forces Maia to think or overthink, or be slower than he would normally be. And this is all absolutely to Woodley's advantage. So while Maia is getting in on shots, he's not finishing shots, and he's not landing any telling strikes.
And Woodley can save energy too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it costs way less energy to feint, like Woodley's doing, than it does to just blitz forward like he does when he's attacking for real. Yeah. So he's getting to move in a... How do I explain this? I'm trying to think of like a rhythm reference for it, but it's offbeat, and instead of just like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, it's like 1 1 2 1 2 3 1 1 2 3, and it gives Maia no way to really pick up on what he's doing. So if you look at the total strikes, it's 3-1 for Woodley at the moment.
Yeah. Do you think that Maia would have the punching power to actually knock Woodley out? Because I doubt that. It seems like his only option really is his jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, his only option is jiu-jitsu. I mean, anybody can knock anybody out with a well-placed punch, but it's Maia's being such a specialist playing to his disadvantage at the moment, because he can't just recklessly wade through Woodley's power.
Yeah.
His face is getting tagged up something major. He can't deal with his power too much, so he doesn't want to take the shots on the way in, so it's forcing him to kind of hover on the outside and wait to get picked apart.
I think he pretty much knows here going into the second break or round number 3. It looks like if I look at Maia's face, I see disappointment. I see helplessness. I see, not fine.
Desperation.
I'm seeing a guy who realizes he's not the smartest dude in the classroom.
Yeah, it's not that I wouldn't say he's not the smartest dude in the classroom, but he studied the wrong material for the test.
Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all either.
It doesn't?
No. Well,
remember the questions and answers thing I was talking about earlier?
Which one?
So before, when I was talking about how I look at fighting.
Oh yeah.
So if fighting is a game of question and answers, Woodley brought a bunch of questions that Maia doesn't have answers to. And because Maia's Maia and he's such a specialist, he brings the same questions every time. It just happened to be that most people didn't have the answers, and at the moment, Woodley does. So Woodley's passing the test, and Maia is not.
Do you think that Woodley needs this victory or this W really desperately to back up what he is saying to being the best welterweight, because to being the best champ? Welterweight, right? Or what are we talking here?
I don't think he needs it, and even because I think he's going to beat Maia, I really do, unless Maia pulls out something amazing. But it takes so much energy to do what Maia's doing that I think Woodley honestly has the advantage for gas at the moment. But people will never like Woodley, but he's not charismatic enough to do like a Conor McGregor where people still want to watch him.
Yeah. My question here is because my question here was because he did defend his title twice, but twice against the same dude, and the first one was a draw. So do you think he really needs this W in order to establish a proper champion, I defeated my title several times kind of status?
I would say yeah, in the eyes of a lot of fans, he probably does. But I don't think it'll ever silence people, because they'll just be like, oh, you didn't play Maia's game. And it's like, that's fighting. There's no reason for him to play Maya's game.
Yeah, as you say, you have to be smart.
If you watch what he's doing right now, he's throwing that inside low kick, which is taking away Maya's ability to shoot easily or level change at all. And now he's feigning it and following up with a right hand.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely gorgeous to see. But he's doing that thing I was talking about where you read someone's reaction and then you just let him have it.
Yeah, I think certain fighters, man, Dominic Cruz, he is one of my favorite fighters. But Woodley, as much as I dislike him, you have to give respect for the athletic possibilities they carry around. And he's just a smart fighter. He's not just depending on his energy and explosiveness. Yeah. He's a smart fighter, and you got to give it to him. And I think that's a little bit of the thing with the people who actually commentate at the same time as they fight. You know what I mean? If you look at Ferguson, for example, Ferguson is a good fighter too, but he will never be the smart fighter, you know. I don't want to sound like a dick, but I hope my idea or my thought is coming through correctly.
I think Ferguson is smart, but he's a strange type of smart. You're talking about Tony Ferguson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's very intelligent, because the way that he fights is he has a style that's very awkward and off rhythm, and it matches up really well for his body type. And to learn to fight that way and to implement that type of strategy, either your coach is an absolute genius or you're very aware of your body and what you're capable of. And I think the way that he structures his camps and the fact that he moves them out and brings other people in to work with him specifically, I think him and his coach are very intelligent. It looks wonky what he's doing because it's supposed to look wonky.
Yeah,
like I don't know how to explain it, but he's very fundamentally sound in the most awkward way possible.
Yeah, I can follow.
Yeah, and it looks dumb. It looks dumb and it looks weird and it looks like it's off kilter and just off the top. It looks like he's just doing random shit off the top of his head.
Yeah.
But it's all appropriate. It's like if you stop, you got to watch him in slow motion. It all makes sense if you watch him in slow motion. He's that type of fighter. It's weird.
Yeah, he's an illusionist kind of guy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, he's like a magician.
Yeah, and talking about magicians here, I just love to plug shit at the moment, so I'm just gonna do another plug here. And it's not 100% sure yet, but in order to get things done, I like to put them out there to put a little bit more pressure on myself. At the moment, I'm in touch with a guy called Richard Turner. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this guy, but he is a card mechanic, and which could also be a magician, as most people would call it. But the funny thing here is, this guy is blind, and I just recently found him on the World Wide Web, and I had to get in touch with him. Hopefully we will be able to figure things out, and we will get him on the podcast, because that is fascinating to me, how people can do stuff, especially card mechanics, which means you are very good at cards or do card magicians when you are blind. It reminds me a little bit of the movie Bloodsport, when Jean-Claude Van Damme was fighting with a blindfold on and he just looked like a superhero, stuff like this. Do you really do stuff like this in fight training?
No, that's just for the movies.
Man, you're crushing my world. It's like telling me Santa Claus doesn't exist.
I was actually really relieved when I found out people didn't do that.
Why? Well, what are you scared of? Are you afraid of the dark?
I'm not afraid of the dark. I just don't ever want to fight blind. Your believe it or not, your eyes and your reflexes are pretty important for not getting hit in the head. So,
you don't say it. How come?
Yeah, it's insane how that works out. Probably because people don't have sonar. If they had sonar, maybe it'd be different, but we're not bats.
It would have to work very, very fast, the sonar. You know,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe like a snake, you work with the tongue. However, you mentioned eyes here, and that is a question that has been on my mind for I don't know how long, basically ever since I started to get into MMA, because I've seen it a few times, and I've seen it with Rika, who is the Thai top female fighter at the moment. She was fighting in the cage at One Championship twice so far this year, or 3 times, I don't really remember. But point is, she lost one of her contact lenses in each and one of those fights. So my question to you, Trevor, is how does it work for somebody who's wearing glasses? I mean, is it smart to wear contact lenses, or do you have to fight without them? What do you do if you don't have 100% vision in fighting? Is it like a fighting pilot that you should just leave it and do something else, or what's the deal?
That depends on who you are and your style of fighting. Some people wear contacts no matter what. Justin Gaethje apparently has absolutely horrible vision, and he seems to make up for that by just constantly staying in people's faces and doing what's called a catch and pitch. If you watch him, when he gets hit, he just puts his head down and puts his hands up, and then whichever arm gets hit, he fires back with that hand.
Yeah.
Because he knows you're close enough. Because if you hit him, then you're close enough for him to hit you. So that's his logic, and I think a big part of that is the fact that he probably can't see that well. But he's a different type of dude. But if my eyes went bad, I'd be done fighting.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, because it seems to me like it makes more damage if you get hit in the eye or poked in the eye even, which we always hope will never happen. But if you wear contact lenses, it seems very dangerous to me to actually injure your eye like really, really fucking bad.
Oh, it sucks. You were there for my last fight at FMD, right?
That was versus XF, right?
Shaheen, the Iranian dude.
Yeah. That was at the old Insanity.
In that fight, I took an uppercut, and there's still, like, you know when you have your phone and there's black dots on your phone, like the pixels just burn out?
No.
Okay, no, maybe you've just had a great phone. But so if you picture it like that, like if you're looking at your phone screen, and for some people maybe they crack their screen or something, and some parts you just can't view. Yeah, it's like that. For about 2 months, there's a big spot in my eye where I couldn't see anything.
Wow.
At all. Yeah, and now there's just like 2 or 3 really small dots, so it's not really noticeable, or not as noticeable, but there's still just spots, like I'm missing pixels in my vision in my right eye. So like if it would have stayed the way it was before, where it was just this huge blot in the middle there where I couldn't see anything, I'd be done. I'd be absolutely done, and I'd never box or strike again. So it's not worth it.
Yeah, do you have insurance, or how easy is it as a fighter to get insurance? That's another question that has been burning on my mind.
I'm pretty lucky that because I was in the military, I still have like veterans insurance, for lack of a better way to put it. But most fighters don't. Most fighters don't have insurance, and most promotions will only insure you up to a certain amount. And I'm pretty sure if you lost an eye in a fight, the average fighter does not have the cash on hand for that, especially at my level.
So what do? You just walk around with a pain?
Yeah, what a lot of guys do is if they make it to the big show or something like that, or if they make it to a big enough show, like I have a buddy whose hand was broken, and he fought anyway, and then just said he broke it in his fight so that they could pay for it.
That's smart. But
yeah, it's smart, but it's fucked up.
Yeah, of course it's fucked up. But how can that work from a perspective from a promotion? Because don't you do medical checks because of that reason? You do, but they're not X-raying people. Oh, okay. I thought
the test is usually just like, can you grab this? They'll check your grip strength. So if you're the type of guy who can just eat it and still grab if you have a broken hand, which is probably a lot of fighters because we're used to fighting through being banged up, then you can just deal with that.
That's crazy, man. I mean, smart, crazy, and sad at the same moment. Very interesting fact.
Yeah, there's not
I didn't
nearly
know that.
enough money in this, and insurance doesn't cover that much. It's usually just like, I think there's a promotion. Never mind. It would sound like I'm throwing shade at people, but it's not that much that people get insured for. It's really not. And Woodley is just having his way at this point with the feints.
Yeah, nice.
Maya doesn't know what to do.
Nice transition there from something that you didn't want to say back to the fight. I really enjoyed that. Well, Maya looks like his face looks like a little bit like mashed potato at the moment, and yeah. No solution for the problem called Woodley, or no answers to the questions thrown by Woodley. We're in the 4th round, if I'm not mistaken. We are having a very interesting conversation here with me.
That was beautiful.
With me today here at the Phone Companion, where we watch fights, by the way, if you just tuned in, and talk about the fights and maybe drift off, or pretty sure we drift off most of the time. T.J McKenzie with me today from Phuket Top Team, and if you ask yourself why this guy has so much knowledge, it's because he does nothing else than going down to the pool, swimming, and then going back up, eating, and then going to the gym, fighting, training. He is a fighter himself, and I asked you that on your podcast a while back when I was had the pleasure to be a guest on your podcast, Small Talk podcast. Check that out on iTunes. Not on iTunes. You're not on iTunes. Why not?
I am not yet. I'm waiting till I have enough episodes and what I think is a decent enough following to just throw on 5 to 10 episodes at a time. So when people subscribe, they just get all of them.
Okay, but again, there we could have a big issue because the main podcast audience is always on iTunes. So that's where you actually get your main audience. And with that being said, the Surrounded by Details podcast does offer free audio download on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. So make sure to get your episodes over there for free, audio only, but it is for free, so shut the fuck up. And otherwise, you can go on YouTube where we live stream all our episodes. At the moment, audio only. For the people who have been me for a longer period of time, or even from the beginning, they know that we used to start from a studio. Things change in life sometimes, so we're waiting for our new studio. Plans are in the making and work is in the making. Fight is still not over here. What I'm trying to say here is subscribe to both Small Talk podcast with T.J McKenzie and the Surrounded by Details podcast. I will put all the information below in the description later on. And round number 5 here, I think there is nothing really, there's no real danger out there for Woodley. He doesn't really make any mistakes. I mean, his takedown defense is, I think, over 90% somewhere. Let me pull up my stats here. Almost 92% takedown defense. So it doesn't seem to me that Maia will succeed in his normal game. And it's a fight that is just there to fill up some time.
Nope. And Maia has been locked into a boxing match by way of not being fantastic at kicking and having his front leg torn to bits. And he's boxing against somebody who is a way better boxer than him. And if you look for it, Woodley's looking to slip his left straight and come back with a right straight of his own. So it kind of puts Maia in a situation where he can't really throw the best punch he'd be able to throw in an orthodox southpaw matchup.
Now, could he or could you blame his poor preparation for Woodley on the short amount of time that he had to prepare for this fight? Because it was only 4 or 6 weeks, I believe, while Woodley basically knew that Maia is coming at some point.
See, I can't blame anything on anything because everything builds up to this fight. Maia's been winning fights for absolutely forever, so I'm positive that him being the intelligent guy he is, he's been training for Woodley. But Maia's training for Woodley is Maia's training for everyone. He's a self-acknowledged specialist. So he has his game, and his game will take him where he does. And it took him all the way to the title fight, so he had no reason to change it. I mean, I'm sure he worked on other things, but he's more of the old school Gracie mold, where it's like, I'm fantastic at jiu-jitsu. What he has been doing is his wrestling's been improving a lot. But he's not a D1 wrestler, and he has balled up other high-level wrestlers, but I don't think I can't remember a match he's had with a wrestler of Woodley's level and Woodley's athleticism, because what he does is they're power double legs.
What do you think is next for Woodley? Because at the press conference, at the pre-fight press conference this week, Mr. Dana White kind of said, you're gonna get GSP next, or the winner of this match will get GSP next.
If they give him GSP will probably die.
Oh yeah, I think GSP, why do you do that? I never get that. Why do you come back? Just sit out, do what you do and what you decided to do. It's mostly, in my opinion, because people don't know what to do. They don't really know who they are without fighting. And I think that is a lack of intelligence and human development. If you have nothing else and you need to come back in a state of where you know that you can't be the best anymore. I mean, there's always people who surprise, of course, but the chance to actually find somebody like that is very, very slim. And I don't think GSP is going to be the guy that's going to come back and then rule the welterweight division for another 2-3 years. That's just not going to happen.
I mean, he was the man for so long, and he went out on a high note. So, in my opinion, he should stop. But some people just, they have to be stopped. Like, they can't stop themselves.
Well, BJ Penn is a good example.
Yeah.
He just
like BJ Penn had to be stopped. But what blows me away is that there's so many examples of other fighters throughout history who had to be stopped and who got stopped. But it's the confidence that makes people a champion is usually it's the ability to shut that out and go, no, that can't be me. That won't be me. You know, so it's kind of part of his mental makeup to believe that he'll be okay when he comes back, when reality has something entirely different planned.
You think that Maia's gonna retire after this?
No, I think he'll hang around and just be the highest level gatekeeper in the welterweight division for a bit. Like I mean, he's basically Uriah Faber of welterweight.
That's a nice comparison. I don't like Uriah Faber at all. I don't know why.
Really? Why not?
I don't know, man. A lot of people that I speak to, a lot of my friends just tell me he's a cool dude, and yeah, I don't know. There's just something with him that
I think he has a face that you hate. It's the butt chin.
Yeah, maybe it's that. But on the other hand, I like Peter Griffin. You know what I mean?
Peter Griffin. It's because he's only 2D. It's Uriah's third dimension.
So wait a second. You just compared Maia to Uriah Faber, and then we compared Peter Griffin to Uriah Faber. Could we say, just theoretically, that Team Alpha Male is the Family Guy of the UFC?
Quite possibly. There's a comic that always makes fun of MMA in general, because Team Alpha Male is so short. He always has kid jokes for them.
Yeah,
and
man,
it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, but
I gotta send you a link to that.
Yeah, please do. But they're fucking talented people, so don't get me wrong. I like to joke about people, but yeah, you been there? How is it? I mean, it looks like. Was that at the old gym or new gym?
Yeah, I was there at the old gym a long time ago. I was only there for a couple weeks, but I took my training vacation or whatever, and they're all super cool dudes.
Nice.
Super cool dudes.
Yeah, I'm sure if I meet them, they're pretty cool. But yeah, there's just something. It's the same thing, man. Often the people that I get along with really well, there's just something from the beginning. Before you talk, you don't really like the people. I don't know what it is. One of my best mates, I had the same thing when I first met him. I thought, what a fucking asshole. And then we're fucking friends. That's what mostly works out. That's also why you should never go with your first instincts, or sometimes you should. I don't make sense at all. And you know why I don't make sense at all? Because I'm overexcited. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dude and dudettes. Jones versus Cormier, Cormier versus Jones 2. It's gonna happen. How excited are you from a scale 1 to 10? Because this match has been in the making for a very long time, and it failed a bunch of times. I can't believe that it's actually happened. I thought something is gonna happen again that, will interfere with the fight. How excited are you about this?
It feels surreal, honestly. I'm still waiting for something to go wrong.
I know. Jones is gonna trip on the staircase or something. Feels like it's gonna happen. It's really weird.
Yeah, and an angry Jones fan is gonna come out of nowhere and, like, I don't know, stab me in the foot and fuck the fight up.
Yeah, or throw a hot dog in his eye and then he can't fight anymore.
Yeah, or that.
The chances of that happening is pretty big. I don't know. Do they actually sell hot dogs in the stadium, indoor stadium, or is this just a baseball cliche? Because for me, as a non-American, it seems like you can find hot dogs everywhere.
I'm not sure. I don't know how they do it at that stadium, but I know that at most stadiums they do sell food. But it's also nighttime. They're probably selling food. I doubt selling food during the main event, but usually they're selling it most of the time, and they give you a break in between at some point, like an intermission.
Is alcohol allowed? Because I know in the soccer stadiums in England, you cannot drink beer, or in certain stadiums in Europe in general, you're not allowed to drink beer. Is that a thing that is common in the States? Alcohol and sports go hand in hand?
Yeah.
You sounded like, what a stupid question that is to ask.
I mean, it's weird. Like, yeah, alcohol and sports almost always goes hand in hand. I think unless you're at like a kids game, maybe then they won't sell it. But at a lot of those, they still do.
That would be the most fun place, though.
Yeah, like people they drink and they watch sports. That's part of it. I think it helps with projecting yourself onto whoever's out there, or getting rid of your inhibitions and enjoying the show, or not thinking about that business meeting that you have in like 6 hours. And that you have a 3-hour drive home, you know?
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't drink and drive in general. That is not a good idea.
Exactly. I mean, you catch a ride home. catch a ride home, and then you wake up in 3 hours.
Yeah, I was recently at a friend's place because I'm not the person who normally drinks, but he opened a new hostel and a bar and a restaurant, and I completely forgot to say this at the beginning of this episode. Shout out to Dreamcatcher Hostel, Bar and Cafe here in Bangkok, who are supporting the Surrounded by Details podcast. So I got that in as well. So if you want to come through Bangkok or stay in Bangkok for a couple of days, make sure to tune in to the Bangkok Dreamcatcher Hostel. However, he was having a little opening party over there, and I had a couple of craft beers, and the next day, man, my head was freaking exploding. Yeah, it was insane because I don't drink much in general, so I didn't really see this one coming, because normally when you're young, you drink a bunch of alcohol when you're younger, and then you slowly start to realize, every time I drink it feels a little bit worse the day after. But for me, I didn't have this ladder. I just went from feeling nothing to feeling dead completely. So
you went from champ to chump overnight.
From champ to chump. Whoa, they're showing the Mayweather versus McGregor clip here, the promo clip.
Of course.
Yeah, dude, how disappointed I am with this poster, I can't even describe.
Really? Yeah. Why is that?
I don't know, man. It's just something. They could have put a little bit more work in there instead of just cutting off half a face and then putting half a face on the right side with McGregor and half a face of Mayweather on the left. That's just, come on, it's a fucking money fight. I want to see those money being put somewhere where they deserve to be, like in a proper designer or graphic artist or whatever. But they
got to cut the cost somewhere. They flew these dudes from what was it, New York, London, California, or something like that?
Come on.
All the money that should have gone to the poster went to airfare.
They flew themselves, if you want to put it correctly, because they both own their own jets. That's why Mayweather could have his fucking team with him in England and everywhere. It's like, it's insane, man. You can't really realize. For me, it's always hard to understand that a fight like this, that you really need to do this, because people are so tuned in, and especially with social media nowadays, this stuff spreads itself. So why do you need to do these press conferences? For pure entertainment. But man, once we are at it, and I hate to go back to this all the fucking time, because everybody is fucking talking about this fight and it makes me sick and tired, but it's like poison. What do you think?
I wish people would stop talking about it, honestly, because there's a ton of other relevant fights that are going on. I feel like every time somebody mentions that fight, I just want to yell, Triple G and Canelo are fighting. Like, I just want to stop people and shake them and say Triple G and Canelo are fighting.
That's on September 9th, right? Or September 8th?
I forget what date it is. I'm just so burnt out of people. I mean, I say that like I'm not about to make a video about where the trash talk came from, but I mention it every time I get a chance. Like, it says a lot about human nature that people are more interested in a lead up due to the trash talk than an actual competition between two high level competitors.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I think it's the fact that you can impose so much more of your imagination on a fight like this. Like, it's way more subjective. You know, it's like you can let your mind go. There's more to talk about. It's more of a conversation than it would be if it was just two guys that you know are good and don't have any animosity. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It allows people to impose more of their imagination.
Yeah, I think it's in general, it's easier for people to hate on stuff, and with gossip often comes hate. So I think it's definitely more profitable to tune up a fight like that. But on the other hand, it's the same thing again. Every good athlete needs a great opponent at some point, and I think it's the same thing with marketing as well. And marketing itself is, in my opinion, the greatest art form of our generation, and it is really an art form how to fool people into certain stuff at certain times. So it's the same with. Sorry, my volume just went down a little bit here.
No worries.
Just a second. I think, give me a second. Do you hear that? I think. Let me tune it down a little bit, and there we go again. My volume just disappeared here. Where was I? Marketing is the greatest art form in history, and it's easy to fool people because people like to hate rather than to actually just see two normal people compete, as you said before. But if you would have to pick, and I don't want to get too deep into the subject, if you would have to pick somebody in Mayweather versus McGregor, who do you pick?
Wait, say that one more time, please.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My question was, I don't want to get too much into the subject because Jones versus Cormier versus Jones 2 is about to happen. So I kind of want to finish the subject of Mayweather versus McGregor. But if you had to pick somebody for your life, who would you pick?
Mayweather. 100 times over.
I can, you know,
1,000 out of 1,000 times Mayweather.
You know what I like about you, TJ? That you are a very calm person, and you're also a very true person. There's certain questions I ask you, or certain discussions we have, and I can literally hear in your voice how tired you are to talk about that. So I'm not gonna go any deeper into the subject. We're gonna cut it off. We're gonna go to Cormier versus Jones 2. And before, one thing I love about this fight, and before it even started, is the new promo work, man, for this fight. It's just fucking amazing. For a photography and videography nerd, I have to say I'm in love with the quality, I'm in love with the build-up, how they did all this, and this is, now I'm doing the same fucking mistake as Ariel Helwani does. I'm talking out of my ass about shit that shouldn't really matter, but the promo is just amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they did all this because they had so much from the last lead-up and the last couple times when they did promo. So for them to go out of their way, they really wanted to get people in on this fight, which is cool. And they also had that super cool redemption angle with Jones. I love how they turned DC into the bad guy. That amazes me. They'll never stop amazing me. By the way,
it's the thing of being perfect that people don't like, you know? You're too perfect.
Yeah, it's someone did a really good job of explaining it. It's because he's always been the good guy, right? And he's always done the right thing, and he's always been the responsible dude. But where he fucked up was where he started to rub it in Jon Jones's face. Yeah. Because it's like GSP, right? GSP's always been the good guy, and he's always done the responsible thing, but he never shit on anybody else for it. So he only gets the good guy vibes. Yeah. You know, like if you're the man and you've always been the man, you're totally cool until you start looking down at other people. It's like that. There's no way that's the only way DC could have been the bad guy. It was the point at which he started shitting on Jones for being Jones that Jones became endearing. If DC never would have said any of that, Jones would have stayed the bad guy.
Yeah, I kind of was on Jones' side before, but there's something this time. I saw a glimpse of it last time they tried to fight at UFC 200, but I see it more now at 214. There's something in Jones that tells me that's not true, you know? It's hard to explain. There's something that just tells me there's something weird about Jones and his character. So I'm actually more on Cormier's side for this one, because not only because of that reason that I start to see weird things with Jones, it's also the fact that we will definitely see a third one if Cormier wins. So I'm pretty sure a lot of fights don't necessarily want Cormier to win because they like Cormier more, but everybody wants to see a third one.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I want Cormier to win because I've always been the good guy, for a better way to put it. Like I don't know how else to state that or anything, but I've always tried to be the guy who does the right thing. So for me, this is one for the guys who do the right thing. And while I do love Jones, I feel like he'll be a better person if he loses this fight. I mean, actually, no, I'm lying. One of two things will happen. Either losing this fight will totally destroy Jones, or losing this fight will totally make you a better person. And this is me speaking as a person that doesn't know what he's become, or if he's already become the better person that I think he can be. But his whole career, he's kind of pretended to be the really good person without ever being a really good person.
Yeah.
But hopefully, maybe the experiences he had were traumatic enough to change him.
Well, I think that's basically exactly what I was trying to say. It will show who he truly has become if he loses this fight, and how he takes it. Either he will get destroyed, or because he by himself, basically because he identifies himself so much with that title, or this loss will make him to the better person he really wants to be. And before continuing with my next question to you, I have to say it, but Jones needs to stop with those stupid fucking one-handed wheel thing. Why does he do that? That just looks fucking stupid.
It's tradition. It's how do I explain this? So there's lots of things that athletes do before. You ever seen people that have a thing they do before they compete?
Yeah.
Yeah, like LeBron has a thing with the shot where he throws it in the air. Wrestlers usually have a thing where they'll snap their thighs or high five their coaches or something like that. So usually what it is from a psychological perspective is shit is so crazy in there, and there's so much going on, and there's so much that you don't control, that there are little things that people look for to, I guess, regain control of the situation, for lack of a better way to put it. And that's where a lot of
why a wheel kick? Because you're not even doing it clean. That's my point.
What happened?
No, I just said, why doing a fucking one-handed wheel kick? Because you don't even do it clean. That's why it looks stupid. That's the whole point. Practice a little bit and do a flip. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry I'm being a dick here.
Oh, no worries. You're not being a dick. It's something that you don't understand. But what it is that he does it because he always does it.
Okay.
So it instantly makes the situation familiar, and it gives him some control of the situation. Like, for me, mine is a lot less obvious, but I look through the cage. The view of seeing the crowd through the cage, for me, calms me down. Because I do that in practice all the time. So chances are, because Jones is really big on visualization, he probably practices walking into the cage and then doing that same thing every time. So then instead of being in this giant pay-per-view situation, even if it's just for a little bit, it feels like he's at practice again.
Yeah,
so it instantly knocks all of the pressure down a couple notches. So for me, the view of looking out of the cage and seeing whether people or whatever else, because for me, I just imagine there's people out there when I'm in practice. It's that, and I do that high jump. And nobody probably notices that, but every fight I do that same high Spider-Man type jump, and it just reminds me of practice and chills my head out.
Okay, so it's kind of a thing that you do to settle back down of the adrenaline that is pumping through your whole body, your whole system.
Yes.
Okay, so with that being said and explained to me, TJ, I gotta ask you 2 questions. My first question is, how can Cormier win this fight? Explain it to me. And second question is, how can Jones win this fight? Explain.
How Cormier wins this fight is he goes forward on angles, because last time what was getting him was straight line side kicks to the body and low line kicks to his legs, because he likes to just kind of move forward and cut people off. But what Gustafsson was doing really well, and mind you, this is a completely different story because Gustafsson is tall and really lanky, was he was just circling the whole time and hitting Jones on the way in. But he tired himself out because he was moving so much. But for Jones, he just has to be Jones. But he has to be Jones, but not the guy that fought St. Preux. If he comes out that way, he's going to be... I mean, I assume that was his first fight back and he had jitters or whatever. But St. Preux is also really awkward. But if Jones can just fight the way he did last time and just be his normal, impossibly confident self, he'll be fine, because DC likes to fight forward and DC likes to be the bully. So pretty much whoever is the bully in this fight is going to win it. But for Jones, if he can just gas DC via the low-line side kicks and the shots to the gut, or keep it in the clinch, throw the body shots, then Jones will take this one. As much as it pains me, the odds are definitely in Jones's favor, because if you look at the stats, he is 5 inches taller with like an 11-inch reach advantage.
Yeah, that's just fucking insane. That would have been my next question. That is like Yeah, that's like fighting without one arm. It's fucking incredible. But I don't know. There's again, I see something here in Jones. Maybe this whole adrenaline that he is back, that he is finally there. Maybe that overtakes him, and that leads me back to the Owen St. Pierre, or however you say his name. I suck at names. My apologies, but I don't care.
No worries.
A few videos that I've been watching on YouTube stated that Jones was very much aware of that. Cormier was commentating that fight, and that he didn't wanted to go full action in that fight because he didn't want to show Cormier how he has been developing himself within the time he was doing off. Excuse me?
I think that may be an excuse.
Okay. So do you? Okay, interesting. That tells me another thing about his character, that he's still not honest about himself because he leads for these kind of excuses.
I don't know if that's him not being honest about himself, but the trick to a lot of this is you just gotta throw things to the fans. You know what I mean? Because the fans will believe what they believe, and that somehow that might become reality or affect the other fighters some type of way. But him slacking in that last fight, I think a lot of it was him gassing, because his way of getting away from his addiction was powerlifting. And if you notice the build-up to that fight, or him in that fight, he was way more jacked than he was in any fight before that. And he's a big dude, and that's a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, he still managed to break St. Preux's arm with a kick, but it's different, and he's not himself. So he's changed his frame. So he had to be able to adapt to a different frame that he has. And fight at the level that he's been fighting with a completely different frame. So he got a new body for that fight. So that's going to be awkward. You know, it's not like you can say, oh, I lifted too much, so now I can't exactly control my body the way I'm used to. That doesn't work. Yeah. So a way easier excuse would be, I held back.
There's so many questions I have for this fight at the moment. I'm trying to bring them out one on one in the right order, but I won't guarantee. So apologies in advance to my audience if I just seem wild, because I like knowledge and I like to hear other people's opinion. What do you think is going to happen to Daniel Cormier if he loses? I mean, he's 39. Do you think that's his call out? Because I lost twice to the same guy. I realized he seems to be that kind of guy, honest to himself. And if I lose twice against a guy, the only guy who ever defeated me, then it's time for me to say goodbye. And you think it will hurt his legacy? That's another question that has been out there on the web for I don't know how many videos, but it's a question that is burning on my mind. So what are your thoughts?
None. I don't think it'll hurt his legacy at all if he loses to Jones, because Jones is the freak of freaks. And it says so much about this dude that he started MMA as late as he did, and has still had such a stellar career, and is still able to be a rival to the freak of freaks, basically. You know what I mean? So, because Cormier, he's a freak athlete, but he's not a freak athlete in the way that Jones is. Like, Jones is he just seems to be built for this sport mentally and physically, and DC is just absolutely built for this sport mentally, and he makes everything else work, it seems like, through pretty much willpower. You know what I mean? Like, the weight cut sucks. He's not as big as most of these dudes. He was fighting at heavyweight before, where his speed advantage was relevant. Now, as a light heavyweight, his speed advantage isn't that great. He's a small light heavyweight with fantastic wrestling, going up against a guy who, by all odds, I mean, to get in the cage after the fight that he had last time, the mental fortitude that takes is absolutely insane, because he, as the Olympic wrestler, lost the wrestling in MMA. But the last thing he did as he was losing was looking for a takedown, basically, so that he can just mentally check that box, like, yeah, this is possible. But then he got the takedown, Jon Jones popped right back up, and then that was that. So he's facing a dude that neither of them like each other. He's obviously smaller. Look at the stare down. He has less reach. No one can really say he has the advantage in anything except for, like, the fact that he's the champ right now. So he's a major underdog in this fight. Like, a major underdog.
But how...
So just being in there is nuts.
Yeah. How do you prepare yourself for somebody who has been out that long? I mean, it's very different for both of them to actually prepare yourself. Cormier couldn't really prepare for Jones because you don't really know what he has been working on. He has been out for such a long time. And on the other hand, you have Jones who could really follow Cormier's fight, even though Cormier hasn't really been super active, if you know what I mean. I mean, he has been active, but not as active as he could have been.
No. Also because he's an older dude and he's starting to get injuries and shit, and Jones is looking for that stomp early.
Yeah,
he's looking for, oh man, that is a savage move.
I have butterflies in my stomach. I can't believe that fight is happening at the moment. It's really going down. My stream is a little bit fucked up, I have to be honest, but it's working from time to time. And as long as I don't...
will share a different link with you.
Oh, then please do. Please do. That means I have to go on the Facebook. But that could also be the internet that I'm sitting on, because I'm streaming at the same time as I'm watching the fight. So that might be it. But I am looking forward to receive your link. Are you sending that on Facebook, by the way?
Just send it to you on Facebook.
Sweet. I mean, right now the stream works. It keeps on hacking.
Oh man, Cormier's doing exactly what he was doing before, and Jones is going right back to the well that he was at last time. He's firing off straight line side kicks to the body and low line side kicks to the legs, and firing off hooks to the body when he can. And Cormier is just walking forward because he doesn't really have a choice. Is that such a reaches advantage?
But how does that look like in the eyes of the judges, for example? Because if you constantly look forward, it seems like you're the more active fighter, the fighter who wants it more. I mean, that can
depends
be very
on
delusional.
The judging criteria is different. It depends on how educated the judges are. But it's usually like who's doing more damage. So if you're moving backwards and you're piecing the other guy up, it doesn't go forward because then he's just walking into an ass whooping. It's if they're both even in the strikes, then the guy that's moving forward gets the nod, because that's forward pressure is basically the differentiator in the case in which both guys are hitting each other.
Well,
but as of right now, it's one-way traffic.
Yeah, while checking for your new link here, and it's probably my internet that is slowing down things, I read the news that after a lot of speculation, the UFC confirms it will hold its first event in mainland China later this year. With that being said, I believe that when I see that, because a lot of November 25th in Shanghai, interesting. Well, China is a very difficult market. A lot of people don't realize that you cannot... I think China is one of those places, it's just so hard to confirm something that far ahead, because there's so many factors that actually play into getting shit done in Shanghai or in China in general. You need to get everything approved, from your walk-in music to trash talk, so it will be very different. It will be interesting to see what happens with that event once we get closer. First round. Yes?
I don't even know how I feel about that event. I'll believe it when I see it, and I don't know if I'll ever want to see it.
Yeah, it feels the same like with the Singapore card. It wasn't really worth to go and watch it. It felt like they didn't really put in the effort to bring more attention over here. And if you don't bring the effort, and this is what Asia is all about, it's about energy and the effort that you put in your stuff. And if you just come and put on an event and you don't even bring an exciting card, I think that doesn't really help you as a promotional organization.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work they're gonna have to do, and they're gonna have to talk to a lot of people and deal with government officials and all this other stuff. And I feel like, I mean, I'm sure everybody thinks we'll get the Chinese population behind us and make a ton of cash, but I don't think those people have been in Asia long enough to really understand how fickle it can be and how much nationalism plays into it. And I don't think they have the enough Chinese fighters that fight at a high enough level to really attract the attention they think they may be able to get, you know. Plus, they would need to be able to get the TV deals and all this other stuff, because pay-per-view doesn't seem to be big there. And good luck getting Americans to give a fuck about a pay-per-view in China if they're crazy enough to do that. And how are they going to be able to get the, oh man, Jones is, that's such a cold move. It's like a shoulder break. And good luck finding a way to stream it from China.
Yeah, VPN is the magic word here.
Yeah, like so the logistics are just absolutely ridiculous. Like, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, well, we have to
Cormier
wait and
is
see.
doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, he is doing his thing and Jones is doing his thing. But what really surprises me here, at the end of the first round, they both raise their hand. And how much of a psychological advantage is there to do that after the first round?
It's partially a psychological advantage, but it also helps with the judges and the crowd. Yeah, it's like I'm triumphant, notice this. And you see it a lot in Muay Thai as well. Like if someone thinks they won the round, they'll throw their hands up. Even if they didn't. Or you'll see it in sport karate. People will throw a punch and they'll immediately, I think they call it a ki. They'll make a noise. So just in case the judge didn't notice their strike, they'll hear the strike. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it really works. Judges can be swayed, the crowd can be swayed, and having the crowd on your side is huge. So it's more like just small psychological warfare. And if the other guy notices you have your hands up and they don't, maybe that might be what you need to take a little bit of the wind out of their sails.
I'm very surprised with the link you sent me. First of all, the location of the link, and second of all, that it works the way it does. I'm very pleased. Thank you so much for bringing me in. But my stream was ahead a little bit more, so that's why I came back. Jones looks a little bit gassed to me, but that's maybe just my myself talking out of my ass, as I mostly do when it comes to MMA. I love this sport, man. I don't know what it is. I just fell in love with this sport the moment I started shooting it.
I have no idea. I mean, I feel like even if Jones is gassed, it won't stop him from being Jones.
Yeah. You think they will ever become friends?
No.
That's another one of these reactions that I told you about before, where you just sound like, how can you ask such a question?
I'm sorry.
I just like to believe in the fact that when they're like 50 and 60, I don't know, they will just say, hey, how stupid were we talking about all these issues? Let's have a barbecue together, something like that.
Maybe, but DC will be, I think he's almost 40 now, so...
He's 39,
maybe in 10 years, they'll be alright?
Yeah, well, I mean...
I doubt it. I think they'll both have to stop fighting and just have families, and just... Maybe one day they'll both be at a Hall of Fame meeting, and they'll be like, we were assholes, weren't we? You know, like, that's the only way. That's the only way. Like, I feel like if you're to the point where you're making dick jokes on the other guy on national television, and you're not doing it purely in jest, like you're doing it out of spite, you guys just really might not like each other.
Yeah, I just like to believe in the good of people and of the unthinkable. Well, we never know. We will see in 10 years, 15 years, I don't know. A little headbutt here by Jones. The fight had to be stopped real quick. Cormier is starting to bleed a little bit out of the right side of his eye, but it doesn't really look like it's gonna distract him because it's not that big of a cut. How big of an issue is the fact that you know that you have an injury? How much does that play into your mind?
That depends entirely on what type of guy you are. And because it's not affecting his vision at the moment. So with a guy like Cormier, I doubt it bothers him at all. When my eye was cut in that one fight, I didn't realize I was bleeding until I saw my blood on the other guy, because I got the takedown afterwards. And I was just like, you son of a bitch. And then I just started throwing more punches at the guy. You know, so if like Mayweather, the first fight where I saw him get cut, it was actually interesting to watch him because he was so... what I'm looking for. Like, he looked taken back by the fact that he was actually cut. He kept wiping the blood and looking at his glove like he was surprised. Like he was like, I got hit, I got cut. Like it was cool because you could see the expression. It was just pure surprise, and it looked like it didn't stop him from being Mayweather. Yeah. But he just looked so surprised. It's like there was a hole in my defense. You know, Cormier doesn't do that. He just, I'm cut.
Man, fighters work in mysterious way, because when you have this experience that you just explained, I mean, doesn't it take you off your game plan? Don't you get emotional involved? Whoa! Once you see your blood on the other people's on your opponent's side, and you say exactly what you just said in your head. Oh, you damn motherfucker! You just cut me. Is that something that takes over your game plan and your emotions, or How much?
No, that depends on the person and whether or not they're an emotional like type of individual. For me, it was a split second where I was just like, you really just did that, and I was like, well, I guess I owe you one, you know, like so. That was it for me. It was I have to hit you now, but it wasn't like a see red, try to kill the other guy, because that's where composure comes in. And I guess some of that is personality and some of that is training. But I think that falls to personality and training, really. So I think it's a fighter by fighter thing. Some people get punched and then they're just like, okay, I guess we have to stand in the pocket now and just beat each other up. But that's not the case for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people get punched and get cut and get on the back foot. For me, it was just, I think I should put a little bit, I got to find a way to hurt you now. But I'm going to find a way to do that intelligently.
Well, you seem like a pretty calm guy. You seem like the kind of guy that never really gets overwhelmed with his emotions. I like that about you. Question here, because now at the second round here, we see a little bit more clinch, a little bit more togetherness, if you want to call it that way. I don't hashtag not a native English speaker, but that is exactly what Cormier should look like in this fight, to close it up and to make it a dog fight, just like they said in the first round. You think that is something that's going to happen as long as we go in the fight, because you can't keep up with the same thing for 5 rounds?
I'm not sure, because the clinch is absolutely exhausting, and Jon Jones has a couple of answers for that. But Cormier, if I could just make a perfect plan for Cormier, like if I could just like take both the guys, freeze time, and put Cormier where I wanted him to be, I would want him to be just past Jones's punch range, where he could throw hooks, but out of Jones's, but not directly in the clinch.
Correct.
Because Jones still has his elbows in the clinch.
Yeah,
and he still has his underhooks, and if you notice, he'll look for an overhook and then try to wrench DC's elbow inwards and upwards towards his chin, and that's what he did to Glover Teixeira. That tears your shoulder and takes your arm out of the fight.
So round number 1, who do you give it to?
Jones.
Round number 2, who do you give it to?
That's a little bit more contested, but probably slight nod to Jones. But it could also go to DC, because DC got in some good shots and Jones started backing off towards the end of it. So round 2 is kind of up in the air.
That is something that would have been my next question, because it looks to me I've been working with MMA for quite a while, but obviously I don't know the technical part as much as you, for example, for somebody who's constantly training and who's fighting. But it looked to me like Jones is starting to, not running away, but run a little bit more. Again, how does that look in the judge's eyes? Because it looks like you are running away, even if you're not really running away. It's complicated to express what I really mean.
No, I understand. I don't look at it as running away so much as I look at it as a guy trying to get his optimal distance. If you're the shorter dude, chances are you're always going to want to be closer than the taller dude. If you're the taller dude, you're always going to want to be a bit back. So if Cormier is just going to keep bulldozing forward, and Jones wants to be able to hit him with the front of his fist in anything but a hook, he's going to need to back up.
Yeah.
If he wants to keep his range, he has to back up, because Cormier is not going to back up, because Cormier knows if he backs up, he'll lose.
Yeah, he needs to keep on walking forward.
But the thing is that Jones is backing up and still getting shots, and then occasionally moving forward and getting shots. And that's why you see DC doing a lot of reaching for his fist on the way in, because he wants to choke his punches with something that isn't his chin. You know what I mean? So Jones is throwing snap kicks up the middle. He's throwing straight punches down the middle. He's trying to throw hooks and come off to the side. And then he's throwing short kicks to DC's knees as he tries to come in. So really, he's just being a really smart, tall guy. And then he's occasionally throwing a knee up the middle when DC rushes in if he comes on a straight line.
Yeah. How
so
much?
Jones is running away, but he's getting the better of the exchanges. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah. No, I didn't let you finish, as I always do, or mostly do. It's a bad habit. However, but how pissed off can you be as somebody like Cormier? Because it seems to me that nature pretty much is your biggest enemy here. You're just a fucking shorter guy, not necessarily because you don't have the skills to beat this guy, but nature just fucking is not on your side. Isn't that a little bit depressive?
Yeah, it sucks. But that's one of the issues with being a big guy, and that's part of why I have so much respect for Cormier, And that's why I won't necessarily take him out of this fight, because when he was at heavyweight, a lot of his fights kind of looked like this, except they weren't as tall as Jones, and obviously they weren't as good as Jones. And this isn't to insult. Well, nah, I guess it kind of is going to sound like me insulting the heavyweights, but light heavyweight's just more competitive. So in dropping down from heavyweight to light heavyweight, he, in my opinion, made his life a little bit more difficult, honestly.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And Jones is fighting super intelligently.
Well, it looks really like the first fight. A lot of the fights. I mean, you have the leg kicks. It's really hard for DC to defend that. I mean, should you even try to defend that? What do you do? Because you know they are just gonna keep on coming. They're just gonna happen. What can you do against something like that?
Oh shit!
Oh, he got rocked there. Oh! That was a nice move by Jones to trap him. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Ah, that's it. DC won't recover from that, man. If he does, he will be a fucking living legend, but that's it. Boom! Boom!
That head kick, man.
That just happened.
Wow.
Holy shit. That head kick.
Yep. And that's why you have to stay close, but holy shit.
Dude, that doesn't look good for Cormier.
Nope.
What's going on? He's still somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, that was like unanswered strikes, and I understand it because Cormier has a crazy heart on him. But fuck.
Damn. How much anger do you put in your punches when you know your opponent is down, and with the history that they have? I mean, how much brutality is in those punches? You
there's
slide,
no anger.
You slide in a little
I just
extra
want to get
one.
them out of there.
Dude, he just
no anger at all.
fucking walked into that fucking kick.
Yeah. Yeah, because he fired it like he was going to go low, and then DC brought his hand down to parry it, and he just brought it up instead, and that was all shin to head.
That little kick on the foot to disturb the balance of DC, that's just the thing that's so smart, because he twists around, he turns around, he doesn't really know where he is, and then once he was at the bottom, man, it was just the beginning of the end. I think DC just tried not to be on the bottom, but there was not really defending. That's crazy.
Yep, Jon Jones is a beast.
Boom, I think that pretty much settles it. The story Cormier versus Jones is over once and for all.
Damn.
Exactly my thoughts, TJ.
Well, when you're a genius, you're a genius, I guess.
I'm a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, it doesn't really surprise me as much as I would have liked Cormier to win for several reasons. As much it seemed like, boom, what is he up to? Cormier
Why
still
are they
wants to
letting
go.
him stand up? You should let this dude sit down.
He wants to shake the hand, or what's going on?
I don't know. He's obviously concussed.
Dude, he's gone.
He's
He is gone. He's just wobbling. Sit the fuck down. He doesn't want to sit down.
Well, that's that. High-level fighters are high-level fighters.
Oh, Cormier is pissed. He is pissed. And what's gonna happen now? Now this is something, considering how much the first fight broke Cormier, it's I don't know, man. It seems very, very difficult for me how Cormier is gonna go through something like that again, because this is his biggest enemy, is Jon Jones, and the fact that he lost to the one, and the fact that he is not the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? This is gonna bite on his fucking head forever. And I make a prediction here. Cormier is done. He will retire after this.
That's fair. I mean, he's not going to get back to the title. If he does, he's not getting any younger, and Jon Jones is just going to keep getting better. And Jones is Jones. He's just a phenom's a phenom, I guess.
Yeah, that's the way it is. I guess it's something he deserves as well. You always have to see different perspectives and different angles. And I think if you go through something like that, no matter if you were being stupid or not, the fact that you actually made it back and never lost faith kind of gives you the right to get the title back.
Like his mental strength or his strength of character. And I mean, the thing about fighting that a lot of people don't understand is that the better person doesn't always win. The more prepared fighter usually wins.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it is. And preparation is a ton of different forms of it. And part of it is just he's built for it. And the rest of it is mentally he was able to get through all that. Like if I was him, I would have quit. You know, and then I just would have been somewhere on an island with my money just avoiding people. But he's not that guy, and he wanted it back, and to him this was getting his life back. So I guess it was, I can't say it was more important to him than it was to DC. But
it kind of feels, no, I know what you mean. I agree and disagree. For Cormier, it was very important for his legacy in his head, maybe not for others, but for him himself. And for Jones, he just identifies himself so much with that title. That was exactly what we were speaking about earlier. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened if Jones would have lost. But would have, could have, it is what it is. Jones is the fucking GOAT, and it looks like he's gonna be there for a very long time, and that being the greatest of all time is a title that he really deserves. TJ, to bring this long episode and this fun episode, because we talked about a little bit about everything and nothing and the fights here and there, how would you resume UFC 214? I know it's fresh, it's straight off the main event, but your first thoughts about the whole event, maybe give me a sentence or two to the 3 title fights. The stage is yours.
This is definitely the best card they've done in a while. Easily the best pay-per-view they've done in a while. A lot of the fights, major fights, didn't drop out. The guys showed up and they actually fought. I'm sure people will knock the Woodley-Maia fight for not ending in a finish, but anybody who does that would probably die if they fought Woodley or Maia. The lead-up was good. The promos were good. These guys brought it. Poor DC, he's heartbroken on the side. I don't know what more you can ask for from a fight card, honestly.
Well, I totally agree with you. Even the prelims are amazing. And yeah, there we go, man. Is that DC crying again?
Yep.
Yeah, that doesn't look good either, because it just gives more ammunition to Jones. But, well, I don't hear the post-fight interview. He's going over there to shake the hand, and wow, well, what can you do? Yeah, I don't have much words left, man. I can't wait to see all the post-fight interviews and hear them, because we have been chit-chatting along here. I would like to hear what Jones said, and I agree it was the best card that the UFC has pulled off for a long time. We kind of reached half of the year, and there's a few more cards to come. I mean, the next big card I can imagine is gonna be in New York in October or November, but we have Nunes versus Shevchenko happening in September, so that's another one I look forward to. With that being said, I'm gonna rewatch this card one more time this afternoon for sure, because not only the prelims, also the main card and everything else, nobody dropped out, and it was interesting fights. It was fun to chit-chat along this fight card with you, TJ. And before I let you go here after almost 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours, I can't believe that time goes by so quick. Where can we find you on social media? Where can we follow you? And where can we talk shit about you for all the opinions you gave us this morning?
Well, I can be found on Instagram and Twitter. You're better off finding me on Instagram at TJMCKENZ. Yeah, that's about it. I'm not super active on Twitter, but I would be if people ask me questions.
Well,
in the future.
I still try to figure out Twitter. Maybe I ask you a couple of questions on Twitter to figure out how this whole thing works. Seems to me hashtag pretty American, Twitter. Doesn't seem so international. Here in Asia, nobody really uses Twitter.
Yeah, no, I think it's mostly in the West. It's almost entirely West. Europe seems to care about it quite a bit, but it's not I don't think it's caught on in Asia at all, so no worries.
Yeah, we use WeChat over here. TJ, do you or will you be able to tell us anything? Maybe some small information of what is coming next for you, where's your next fight gonna be, and when is your next fight gonna be?
I have absolutely no idea because there's no promotions coming up. Honestly, in the next few months, to my knowledge. So I just got to take it as it goes.
All right, man. I'm looking forward either way. Let me know when you are fighting again. You're always exciting to watch, and always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Thank you for being with me this morning and doing a long phone companion. Hopefully not the last time. I would be happy to have you back soon on the next UFC.
All right, I'd appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
You too. Take it easy.
Boom, and there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was T.J. McKenzie. A rough start. I got a little bit nervous that we are not going to make it happen, but in the end we made it happen. And without any further ado, I would like to come to an end because it has been a long episode. There is never a good way to finish these episodes, but before I do, I have to let you guys know that on August 5th in the Cotai Arena in the Venetian in Macau, one championship is gonna go down with the main event, Bibiano versus Leone for a title match. Then we have the unification bout, flyweight, ladies and gentlemen, between Akhmedov and Moraes, and the whole card is stacked. It's basically the one championship, it's basically the same card as UFC 214 for one championship, if that makes sense. So make sure to tune in. The pay-per-view is super cheap. I don't get paid for saying this, but even when I don't shoot for them, I always get the pay-per-view because it's like $9 and it's great fights to watch. And this fight is especially interesting, big and stacked. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, for all the patience for this 2.5-hour podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to my social media. All you have to do is to look for Steve Bonhage, STEVBONHAGE. You can find my social media on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, but as I just mentioned to TJ, Twitter is not really active, but I try at least. If you want to find the podcast, please look for Surrounded by Details podcast on YouTube, on iTunes, on Podbean, on Stitcher, on SoundCloud, where you can download all our episodes for free. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, dudes and dudettes, thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back on Tuesday, August 1st, where I will have Bear Frazier, and we will look ahead of to the One Championship card that I just mentioned and the upcoming Kuala Lumpur card, which is just as stacked. And yeah, be awesome. Don't forget to smile, and don't forget to make somebody else smile. I see you on Tuesday, August 1st. Keep up with my social media. Keep yourself informed. Subscribe, follow, and share. I will share some love because it's Sunday. It's a day off. See you all.